Okay. But so we're over here hitting the wax pen, at least half of us are, and we're going to be talking about neurotic nihilism. And I would really love to know, what is neurotic nihilism? Because that sounds like a very interesting term that I've never heard before.
Well, it's kind of like, um, so the name of this stream is something to do with mental illness, right?
Yeah, I think it's like mental illness is really great, and I love the left. I can't remember what I said now. I love the left wing because of it. Yeah, so it's supposed to be like that movie where it's like the something, and then how I learned to love the bomb or something. So I was thinking about that movie. I can't remember the name of it right now, but that's what I was thinking of.
Well, it's kind of similar. Um, Not really, but kind of, in a lot of senses. I'm grabbing a phone charger. Give me a second. Um, but it's like, so essentially, neurotic nihilism is a way to point out just kind of how pointless even pointlessness is, and the differing thresholds to sanity, as well as reactive tendencies resulting from sort of like pushing those pressure points. Um, because the word neurotic means, um, what is it? Uh, Definitionally, neurotic means, what the fuck? Sorry, a less serious. It's less serious than a psychosis and marked by severe uh, anxiety, depression, and the like, without any apparent physical origin. Um, and so, essentially, I would call it sort of similar to there's a book by Wallace Baker called Diary of a Suicide. It's basically the confessions of what Trevor Blake of Underworld Amusements wrote in the foreword to that edition of it, called A Failed Egoist, if that makes sense. It's kind of like there's
A
all
failed
these.
egoist. What does that mean exactly? That sounds like someone. Is that someone who's like saying that they want to become a godlike person, but really they're just like really insecure or something like that?
Yeah, sort of. It's basically just pointing out pitfalls in power philosophies, and just as they get experienced in a way, and also just how it kind of relates to other broader things. Like I did a whole analysis of a Green Day album from this thing. It's kind of interesting.
I have a copy of Max Stirner's The Ego Is Own, bought from Underworld Amusements, with I think it was supposed to be George Steiner's View of the Far Right series, and I have like a little Underworld Amusement signed by Trevor in the card right there. And that's actually my copy of The Ego in Its Own that I got many years ago. But I can't say that much on egotism, other than I really, really liked Max Stirner when I was in my early 20s.
I've actually honestly never read Sterner yet. I've read more of like Ragnar Redbeard and I guess Ayn Rand and the like. But
Right.
yeah,
Yeah. Can't say that much. I mean, what was it? I apologized last night because it was like 2 in the morning and I was like sleeping, and I know Neurojack got in a guy who's really well known with O9A stuff, and I had some weird Mason type gang stalkers after me recently. So I don't know if you're making the connections there, but it's all of a sudden recently, and I don't know if it's a weird initiation act or you said something you're not supposed to say. But if I learned anything from the lesson, it's maybe buy a book on Francis E. Deck, who talks about the communist computer gangster, and he has this very Philip K. Dick, William Burroughs-esque writing. So I'll see that in the mail soon.
Yeah. Well, what? Well, so um I'm trying to like merge some different things. Like I'm trying to say like there's something about the ICE protest, like the pro ICE, the anti ICE, pro Zionism, pro Trotskyism. Uh, it is very Philip K. Dick, right? It's like you have all these different things that seem, I'm finding this by the action of like trolling people, even though I'm not intending to. So like, I just start calling people who are saying like, no border, no USA, whatever. They're like, let's dissolve the borders of the United States. I was like, so are you a Trotskyist? And then everyone's like, oh, you're just rage baiting. I'm like, well, what is the answer? Yes or no? And like all these people are like, you're a fucking retard. Kill
Right. They
yourself.
don't want to be honest with
You know,
socialism. That's
and,
the
and I was
thing.
like, so have you read Trotsky? And this one person said, and I started saying like, well, you're a Trotskyist Zionist. And this woman comments and says, oh, Trotskyist was avidly anti-Zionist. And I was like, have you read Gramsci? And they don't say
Right.
anything. And then they move on to say like, oh, you're not a serious person. You're a fascist. And I was like, okay, so you're name calling people, bullying them and calling them a fascist. That sounds fascist, right? So it's like, it's just, I'm learning from experience. It's like, these people aren't really serious about their beliefs. It's just like they're a Trotskyist, but they're in denial about it
So they
because
don't. They
they're
just don't.
literally like espousing Trotskyist beliefs,
Well, if
right?
the ideal is that it's liberal, we are the ones that could do permanent revolution. Everyone else is problematic, and then we use Gramsci to put ourselves in a position of war to make sure you consume the same thing because we believe everyone's a blank individual. So it's like it's party of socialism and liberation mentality where they're marching with American Communist Party, and it's pretty much becomes the same thing. It's like literally they don't know the origins of how they started these ways of thinking. I mean,
Yeah, sorry about that. I was just typing while I was out, but I think it goes back to this thing idea of like because Claudia's writing articles about neurotic nihilism, and I think that's a good term because it's kind of like how you called it, like liberal nihilism. So it's like there's like real nihilism, and then there's like liberal nihilism, then there's like neurotic nihilism. I think
how
there's like
you
a
present the
trend between
text.
those.
Because when nihilism started out, it was basically, I mean, it still is. Orthodox nihilists are like, well, there is nothing in this world, but it's not stopping me from controlling it. That's the thing. So it really develops Darwinian types, and even socialists have that kind of groundbreaking. Or Prometheanism is based on the notion of nihilism. But then it's like, well, if you literally believe there's nothing, then it self defeats purpose. And so, what I say, the liberal nihilist believes, well, why should there be meaning in the first place? If I can get it, then whatever. It's all me, it's subjective. Well, then that's just like there's no rules. And if there's no rules, there's no ethics, paternalism, virtue, and you might as well be a serial killer or whatever. And so that's how the liberal nihilism destroyed a perfectly good school of discipline of the Nietzschean type in favor of just a mess of not thinking, pretty much, as the basis.
Well, Claudia, if you don't, if you're still there, I want you to jump in because you wrote the article about neurotic nihilism, and then you wrote the article about how Avatar movie is about like mixing of kinds, right? And you're talking about how like it's about creating like a new race of people, and it seems like strangely relevant to like all the shit that we talk about because like me and Pillard are like very pro like Asians and whites mixing together to make like a new fascist. I mean, not whatever fascist even means. I don't even think it's a real term, but relative to like a Trotskyist, like everybody's just like gay, retarded, and
Anti-liberal. It's
borderless or whatever.
basically
It's like
anti-liberal, healthy, pagan. Uh, you could say it's eugenics, which it is, but at the same time, it's not the priority or the basis. It's not Darwinian in form.
right.
You
It's
know,
more about like a spiritual Aryanism than it is
correct.
about it's like any kind of like racial thing. But it's just funny because people automatically assume like
Aryan is
you're a
racial.
racist. And it's like, well, you're the one judging everybody off of race, whatever that means, which is a totally
Correct.
made up term, by the way.
It's like you want
Yeah.
decency in a society. I just call it anti-liberalism because I couldn't find any other word. If you were to make up something, it gets straight to the point. So the only, debunking is that the liberal opposition will say, you're just a fat guy that wants to own the libs. And it's like, it's not owning the libs. It's the air we breathe. It's a fish in a water. David Foster Wallace, what is water? And so the entire premise of like admixture European society in the United States is being an individual without family, without brothers or sisters. We have to judge and tell the rest of the world to speak English and see we're individuals without any care of the world. It's not that it's a good thing, like we have free will. We're still under the oppression of capitalism and saying what debt can give us. It's like we're constantly in debt. We're constantly. It's like it's a fake. It's like the only thing that can prosper is a bunch of private socialisms under the realm of capitalism, which the actual PSL socialists seem okay about. And that's also really weird. And it's honestly, I would rather live in an Asiatic society that denounces that whole worldview in total, that puts the people first. I think that's ultimately what socialists want. But I think the United States is in the Stockholm Syndrome conundrum where it's falling apart because it's essentially a transhumanist project. The technology isn't there, but it's all the billionaires are putting money down to make sure it happens in the next 50 years.
No, Machine, welcome. And Claudia, if you're talking, we can't hear you, so I'm not sure if you're talking or you're just being quiet. But
I'm just being quiet
oh,
and
oh,
thinking. I mean, I have the Suicidal Asian and Promiscuous book on my shelves. I know what he's saying.
Right.
well,
But it's just, yeah, sorry.
Oh no, go ahead, please.
No, because I don't know the way to put it. It's more like, I look at this. I would even put in a very common Artie Lang sense of the term, where it's like, well, you know what toxic is. You wouldn't want to be around toxic to create self-harm or self-destruction. It's not like one is pretentious about the act. You would only want what is good. You could have thick skin or just be abused. If you have thick skin, then that dwells into punk culture or whatever, and those who are oppressed versus oppressor. And if that's the case, well, you don't go and kill other people in a very gay culture, rape, abuse style. You want to make something more. That's like the basis of gay culture. We have gay rights. We have to be recognized as a quote unquote queer relationship to the hetero world. And we demand, it's like almost like they're demanding being normal, but at the same
Well,
time, it's more
right.
like reparations.
Well, I see, and this is kind of what I'm trying to say is like it's like, and this is what I think is so insidious about a lot of this stuff is like me and Machine found this whole like supposedly like underground thing where it's like, oh, the schizos are actually like the new war class and they need to come to power because they can see the truth.
Yeah, that's
And
why the gang stalkers
you
will be
know
like, they'll name drop Francis E. Deck, being like, oh, well, he's the original schizophrenic poster. He doesn't make any sense. But if you like closely read Francis E. Deck, he was correct. He was just way up, far ahead of his time. It's all that he's just talking in metaphors and abstractions because these terms weren't invented yet.
he
You could
he
say,
was like PKD before PKD. He's like a
right. And then it's like
proto
Nick
PKD.
Land and well. And it's like William Burroughs is advocating him. Classic industrial groups are advocating him. Philip K. Dick probably read him. And then you realize Francis E. Deck is not just some loser schizophrenic. You could put a Foucaultian term and say, no, he was a Polish American who was a lawyer in New York, saw all these corruptions. Before there was an internet, the only thing you could do was copy and paste your typewritten letters and send them to people in hopes, and it worked. I think it paid off. It's just that it was a time before the internet, a time before you could self-publish, because if you told that truth, that went over your heads. It's crazy, but it's true. He almost even said that this avocation of Nazism is inherently Jewish. And then both the Jews are, and it's like, wait, and it's like, what? That sounds like but it's actually not a contradiction, because it's like, well, Jews are supporting Nazism to get the state of Israel to create a form of mania, to always be scared of a menace that's actually supportive of its oppositional cause. And I think we're seeing that right now.
to sort of feed off of that, it's kind of Machiavellian in the actual sense of the word, from what I'm getting.
Mhm.
Um, in Machiavellian in terms of envy. So with that, it's like in The Prince, Machiavelli says, quote, "As soon as a powerful foreigner invades a country, all the weaker powers give him their support, moved by envy of the power which has so far dominated them," unquote. And the use of the word envy is notable. You know, it's like, what's the Sylvia Plath line? Every woman
Every
adores
man
a
adores a
fascist.
fascist. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's kind of like, it's that idea, but it's like what envy is. It's sort of like in Star Wars, I guess, is a kind of a good relation. It's like the Sith rule of two, and that envious lust, you know, it's more akin to the prescription of envy as an entity and of its metamorphoses, which is this shriveled, pusillanimous, poison dripping ghoul that just infects people like a malignant cancer. Um, and ideally, I guess, with what Pillater's criticizing with the liberal nihilism is that ideally envy should invite ambition, but where that envy is with liberal nihilism, it does not have any sort of ambition to come out of it. It's more leeching than some sort of primrose peach at the end.
Like a classical nihilist would be more, I would say, into new age things and be like, well, because there's nothing greater than me, I can become God. It's almost like a Satanist position, but it's not being humble per se. It's more like, what is the sense of the universe? And I think things like the United States of America or even China does practice a form of nihilism. It's just that it's very, its meaning is derived to something else. America believes it's an ideal over, and that's the basis of the universe, which needs, there's nothing but our ideal. Or China says it's our people above everything else. It's not that there's no meaning. We are the meaning of living the good life. And that goes back to, so again, nihilism can be beneficial to how you plan things, but the way you interpret it, it often becomes irrational in its design when you just stop thinking.
Well, yeah,
Well,
I would
go ahead.
characterize nihilism as a neurotic skepticism at its most extreme, which hence neurotic nihilism. And there you go.
I would say a bad type of nihilism is Eugene Thacker, who says talks about cosmic horror all the time. I mean, he reads H.P. Lovecraft and he teaches at the New School in New York, but he basically says you have the right to be pessimistic because this world is an absurdity. And because this world is absurdity, everything is negative against you. And if you are negative and feeling bad thoughts, you should be rational to be transgressive. Hence, it's okay to like industrial and power electronics music. I wish I was making that up, but that's what Eugene Thacker argues, and he became widely popular in these punk circles in the last 10 years that even his avogation of Thomas Ligotti seems to be, and he's the only writer of Ear Hair Mirage is begotten, Eli's Mirage. And I just think it's a little absurd. It's like saying that my empirical senses make me feel bad, and I want to be bad just because I fit into a subculture, which I don't have to, because again, it's throwing away, it's taking self-harm as the good rather than
Right,
overcoming it, which is
right.
what straight edge culture was. It's almost like I denounce straight edge culture, and this is the problem with Thacker.
Well, so I'll give you an example of this really quick. Which may not be directly related, but I think it is probably. So I found the video of a Chinese guy who's like in Vancouver or America or something like that, and he's talking in Chinese to Chinese people, saying, America's really racist and we need to end the borders in America and, down with ICE and all this stuff. And I said, would you want Asia to have no borders and endless immigration too? And then I realized he's probably from Taiwan. So I said, or Taiwan. And he said, I don't live in those countries, so I won't speak on the policies. As for the United States, the country I am a citizen of, I don't give a shit. Come on over. And I
property.
said, literally, and then I said, literally makes no sense. The entire world comes to a place because you say it's cool? Question mark. I'm sure the ladies feel really safe around you. So, how many immigrants of color have you hosted in your house? And you seem to, quote unquote, give a shit since you want the borders to not exist. Is America magic dirt? Are you a Trotskyist? And then I said, and if you don't care about Taiwan or China, why are you speaking only to those in America that speak Chinese? Most Chinese I know don't want open borders for China or
And
America.
they're Stalinists. They don't want Trotsky.
Right. And
China's
so I
based on a
said,
Stalinist government.
so I said, so again, are you a Trotskyist? And here's his response. He's like, you seem to have some personal issues and trouble formulating a coherent argument.
No, that is
Try working
coherent.
on that before wasting my time.
You don't have
And
an
I said,
answer.
I said, revolutionary, but can't handle a few questions.
Well, you know, I
So
always
it's
Well,
thought
it
it
just
was
is
really
funny.
shoot
funny.
first, ask questions later, is it
Well, no, the
not?
Trotskyists have the Revolutionary Communist Party by Bob Avakian, which was influenced by Trotskyist values. So I think that's kind of funny that the. But no, I think, just going back, regardless of Trotskyism, it seems like the premise of any English speaker or in the world, no, regardless of, is that I own something. Taiwan is mine. Nobody else owns Taiwan. I can practice ethno-nationalism or the context of multipolarity where we all own things and everybody should be happy. If you don't own this, then you get kicked out of the house and you have to go own it in your own libertarian paradise. And this seems to be America's solution to the world, which gets infused in white nationalist rhetoric. If only they just moved back home. Re-immigration. It's a little absurd because it doesn't take into the account of living in the belly of the beast. It just can't be plausible. So they think the solution is like a buffet, a consumer choice where you go to the mall and you choose things that they're supposedly ethical consumption under the capitalist regime, that the dialectic materials to reality that you're under. And it's just when you ask, okay, do white people own anything? Well, no, you're supposed to manage everything for me. You are the referees to a game nobody's playing. And it comes to a point where if that's the case, then we supposedly everything's just subjective to its ownership. You could say you own the race you have or the kids you made, and it's just this nonstop ideal of, it's hard to tell someone you don't own anything, and this is like the basis of the home ownership crisis or the boomer ideal of the world, is that people bought houses because they own them, or that's an investment. Well, if it's an
Right. You know what's
investment, you're
funny?
recalculating the money to own more
What's
things. It never
What's funny
ends.
is the person who taught me that was the richest guy I've ever personally like known, beyond like a in passing talking. And he moved to Thailand, and he rented his house, he rented his scooter. I'm sorry, he bought his scooter, but he basically owned gold and a little bit of money in the
Can you hear me?
my sorry, my audio cut out. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, so he basically owned nothing, relative, even though he was wealthy, right? And he taught me is like he's like literally like you don't own anything. He's like if you don't hold it in your hand, you don't own anything. He's like you don't own your kids, you don't own your wife, you don't own your house, you don't own your car. He's like everything that you think you own is like basically nothing. It's like and it's just funny because he most they're selling this like proprietarian like uh
That's right.
ideal to like stupid poor people, and then
That
saying
you
you
own
own your
something,
culture, you own
your race.
your people, your rate. Yeah, exactly. And it's like you own your LGBTQI plus, and it's like, what does that even mean? It's like, and then you ask them like a simple question, they're like, oh, you're a fascist or something. you
Well,
you
I'm
want to
saying
take
it's
away
not
my
just white
my
hillbillies.
product or something.
It's Taiwan English speaking liberals, like you're saying. It's like they think they have a right to be it. And so if their women act up, it must have been evil white men that took it away. And now you own, and it's like their arguments against white men isn't so much like race mixing is not natural. They'll only say that to say, well, it's because you took something away from me. I'm envious. It's more about that they can't imagine if ownership is a subjective thing about your personality, then we can all have Asian wives, have your Asian children, and we own these things. But you're not of the race. So then it goes back in this glitch that they think ownership is innate and I have the right to rule, which is, I think, a glitch in the mind. I think this is like where the problem is like you said, Propetarian, Kurt Doolittle, they believe the basis of liberalism is owning things. But I think, just to say more than half the world, that isn't G7 BRICS, they're anti-Propetarian. They don't believe, they're not going to say, I care about my people because I live here. It just is. You just exist with your family and your people. I think that's a natural pagan-esque part of the world. You claim things when you want to. And you realize, this is a Buddhist statement too, that if you die, all the materials don't go into the afterlife. Your soul does. And I think this is not coherent in most Christian religion, except the Gnostic parts. But like in most bourgeois Christian identity of the world, everything it's materialistic because it's under God's domain and you're in the image of God and you own things. And so, well, that just opens up for Darwinianism and nihilism. So that's just like a front for something else. If you take those Richard Dawkins cultural Christianity viewpoints in there, or Christopher Hitchens, I'm sorry. But yeah, maybe just to add a little more thing in here, I would say that you could say that, not that I'm making a defense for white nationalists, because they can't even describe what a nation is. It seems like most white nationalists are upset that the world wasn't the 1950s. So they develop a pseudo-reactionary position, unlike the Amish, who are super reactionary, living 150 years ago or 200 years ago. The white nationalists are reactionary that they want to be 70 years ago. And don't see a type of archaeofuturism where they're going forward. And so what's happening is that many white nationalists think that, blood and soil, that the lines that you draw must be where you also are, which is an opposition to diaspora. But most diaspora are Jews, Koreans, Chinese, Indians. You could be in Germany and still be an Indian nationalist or a Jewish nationalist, and then give remittance back to a core place like Israel or South Korea. So white nationalists, they are okay with nationalism, but they can't define the lines drawn. They think the lines drawn is a suburban house in Reno to each according to his needs, pseudo-Marxism. And I think this is absurd because ultimately it just divides whites further and deracinates them, not into French, not into German, but into more mutts, while they bash and cry against those evil race mixers when they themselves are a byproduct of race mixing within a pool which is quote unquote white. So, you ask the most hardcore white nationalists, they're willing to scapegoat and say, well, the Japanese are white. So if a white guy gets with a Japanese woman that has a half Japanese child, that's a white person. Yes, and therefore that's white nationalism. And I can see you could use that as a Trojan for Eurasian futurism, because they believe in binaries and they don't want to believe in third positions or creating new words. They might come up with a cute word like Wasian once in a while, but they're very poignant to the subjective nature of what is white, what is nationalist. But, they could never imagine themselves as diaspora, though. That's the interesting part. And people like Greg Johnson of Countercurrents is really pushing a pseudo-Jewish ideal that so-called white nationalists should be diaspora, and their nationalism is rather determined by Propetarianism. They could be in Germany or Budapest or Asia and say, I'm a white nationalist. This is my white town, like a Chinatown, which I think is a very strange position, because how can you do that while being high and mighty cosmopolitan of the world and still calling racist on this, and that, and still being second-class Jews? I don't know, but it feels like the BAP types are pushing that.
And that's Bronze Age pervert for those who are unaware. And this is where I get confused. Is like Peter Thiel trying to use these tropes as like a jujitsu into like, you know, like a Pax Judaica, or is this more of like everybody's just trying to stabilize things somewhat? So they're like, well, let's just let the dumb people fight amongst themselves and feel like they're, you know, real revolutionaries. And so like I truly do feel like this is kind of like a weird IQ thing where it's like, you know, dumb people need to feel like they're empowered even though they actually have literally no power
Oh
other
yeah,
than
that's
a
been
bunch of
the
stupid tropes or
gag.
something,
The
right?
gag since the 1960s or the 50s. Those teen dash agers. The teen dash agers are going to rule the world. You see it through the work of Larry Clark and Bruce LaBruce and this kind of, I'm going to use the exact word here, fetishization of young people that hasn't left the boomer generation. And they think, you know, 4 generations down the line to Z's going to be the generation that will do X because young people are so smart and intelligent, even though it's the older people in labs making the words like cooked or I forget the words every
Um,
time because it destroys your brain, and because you don't want these unwanted things in your head that you know you can speak in clarity in actual English.
right.
But they're
Yeah.
trying to always push irony. Umberto Eco is correct. They're pushing irony, so you're never sincere with the text. You are always meta. You never say "I love you." You cite someone else to say "I love you" and let them think. And so that's the problem with intellectualism. And for like a corporation, they call themselves Meta. Everything is meta. And this is why we get things like post-left
Mm,
irony or like
It's
meta
like
meta.
it's like everything is a it's like your life is a meta proxy war essentially that you never knew like is happening. You never knew like who's the
So it's like,
players. You
okay,
never know the
take
land.
you
Or,
know take my friend Nicole Hmong in Bushwick. You know she's Asian whatever goth stuff going on. And she posts pictures of her dating, quote unquote, and she's only with the guy for like a month or two, and it's basically on X or on Instagram from the guy's POV. I'm speed running dating in New York with the goth Asian chick. Both parties aware with consent that it's weird. It's like this is not natural. Not even kids in the 1950s would think that. And this is like what liberalism is doing to our brains to constantly let the camera go on. I think this is something that Theodore Adorno argued about how the camera's always on, it's always watching us, and there's always a mythical audience. No one develops the Ted Kaczynski hermit or the Diogenes type of isolationist to make art in the world. And, that's why, in my avatar, I just have a blue background and writes pill eater. Science fiction writers like Greg Egan, even early Greg Johnson would just not show their face because it's a type of vanity. And honestly, in a world where no one cares about anyone, is becoming hostile, I think my message is more important than the performative aspect. If you pick up a book from the library, that's all that should matter. But I think, in this technological age, we're always on TikTok, we're always performing, we're always doing this. We become literally a cartoon character rather than, say, like a Kraftwerk brand thing that's coming out. And I don't think the Z kids get it. I think the elite see the Z kids as new women to have sex with. And this is gone. This is being published right now saying millennial men should get with Zoomettes. They're literally saying, yeah, we know millennial white women are broken, but that's not stopping you from getting from a 23-year-old white girl that's still on and that's what they're doing. So crazy. The
Right.
age
but
gaps
well,
are
and
fine now.
that's well, that's a big but that's a big
Red flag. It
thing
shows
that
you
they're
what's going
going.
on.
Well, go ahead. That's what they're
No,
going
no,
against now. Is like
I'm not saying
this.
it's also the
Yeah.
contradiction where they're also putting out oh, you must be a pedophile now. You must be a creep for going after younger people. They wouldn't be saying that if we had a 50-year-old woman going out with a 20-something-year-old guy, which they also fantasize about as well. But if it's the man actually looking for a 23-year-old to have a kid with and natalist principles, oh, you must be a pedophile.
Just from that younger generation perspective, as I am technically on that generation, I think it's from 1990 to 2006 or some shit. Um, it's I would say it's not that dissimilar from any other generation in the past. I'd say it's specifically more akin to the 60s than anything. And like just looking at something like America First, it is a reaction to the dominant system and an envy for that sort of power. Um, and at least in the case of say like the America First and stuff, it's not that dissimilar from what's already there, but it does find itself to fashion itself to be special in some way, even though it's really nothing new. It's just the same thing. The only difference is technology has changed, and so has the scenery a bit.
Well, well, I'll give Nick Fuentes credit for one thing because I found this clip of him saying like all gay, like modern dating is very gay, and he made a pretty good case for that. Where it's like, let's go date each other and fuck each other, and then we'll just text all day and whatever.
Right.
And it's
There's no
literally like
loyalty.
let's live like gay guys in the '80s who all have AIDS and just don't
Who
care
I
like what
think Nick
happens
Fuentes
tomorrow,
is actually,
essentially.
I think Nick Fuentes is gay, and he's actually saying, well, I'm a
Well,
different type of gay because I'm just going to be a monk about it. So that's the weird part. He's like telling you, devil
right,
screw tape letter. He's
but
telling you a screw tape letter, pretty much.
right, but that's the thing is like, who better to tell you about it than an actual gay person who knows?
Which I think is Nick Fuentes. And that's why he's a screw tape letter. Is like, I know the game, and I'm going to tell you the dangers. I mean, just the other day, he said, don't get tattoos, and they'll make you look ugly. But it's like, well, the tattoos were only apparent because we lost authenticity. And when people get tattoos, they are looking to belong to a serious political, cultural movement. This is why you get processed church tattoos or a pentagram or whatever, or just, they say doodles on your skin. Well, they do that to show I'm willing to take risks and it means something to me. And I don't think, I think Nick Fuentes is only saying that because in gay culture, a lot of gays already have tattoos based upon trauma bonding, which is totally fine. It's just that he thinks, you should just focus on the body as Adonis. Of course, that's ideal, but no traumatic person. I mean, look at Andrew Tate. He has a giant tattoo. I'm just saying, if you are masculine and they want you to manifest violence and you can't show that through your body, then it's like, well, then you might as well be a prude who doesn't do any of these things. And it goes back to the whole gay thing. So again, there's some things I disagree with Fuentes on, but it just misses the point where we're already in this. There's no sincerity to begin with, and he's trying to say good, but at the same time, the screw tape letter is saying just embrace it, which is unfortunate.
Right. Well, I'll read this too long didn't read version of my article I'm writing, and so it's two different hypotheses that I'm trying to synthesize into one argument. So let me read the first and then I'll read the second one. Okay, so the first one is the world's major powers are unconsciously building a global techno security state modeled on Israel's garrison vanguard paradigm. America exports the revolutionary ideology, Israel invents the tech, Russia creates the threat to make it necessary, and China scales the system globally. Their competition inadvertently unifies the world under a Pax Judaica, not Jewish rule, but a planet where every nation adopts Israel's logic of permanent siege, preemptive tech, and managed conflict. Its internationalism mutated into an endless security innovation, creating a world of high-tech fortresses and a perpetual Cold War. And then the second part is this: the fight over ICE is a microcosm of the larger shift. The left demanding abolition, the right demanding fortress borders are both feeding into the same machine. Their opposition forces the state to replace brutal camps with more sophisticated digital surveillance. The smart Garen, quote unquote, beneath this is an occult war rages between sects, tech globalists who want a digital covenant, blood and soil mystics who want ethno-techno states, and bureaucratic realists who build the system. Their conflict isn't chaos, it's the ritual forging of the New World Order. Every protest and policy debate unknowingly defines and accelerates the rise of the automated security state. We are all actors in a hidden dialectic building the prism we think we're fighting. And I think that like literally sums up my entire belief system in regards to politics, to be honest with you.
Well, in the artist way, I think it's hilarious that gang stalkers and others will say, oh, how can anybody, take Francis E. Deck seriously? He must be a schizophrenic. Let's all insult him. Or Terry A. Davis. He's a schizophrenic. Let's insult him because it's so absurd, like Christian. But if a liberal like, J.G. Ballard does, I want to fuck Ronald Reagan, and does the same kind of collage art, criticizing and satirizing and ridiculing the Reagan Empire. But I'm coming as a liberal because this is how stupid you are. Sounds very condescending. There's a difference between being, a victim. I'm not saying the victim mentality, but like maybe a better word would be under the belly of the beast versus having the armchair socialism and saying, I wave your finger and know what's right. And I think this is the problem with the Bushwick elite versus every other art scene, and that from our ends we make AI generate. We're using the technology of AI or collage art to make these new revelations, like Skinny Puppy would with Brap stuff. But then the elites, they condemn us for using AI. They condemn us for actually using new artistic methods because they are jealous that they have to manage everyone. So they have to be pretentious about their art styles and, play this Max Weber power knowledge game without
They're
telling
like
you.
they're like, we want to use the AI to make you stupider. We don't want to we
We
don't
don't want
want
to
you
use
to
the
use AI
AI
to actually like
exactly.
tell people what's happening.
Yeah, you don't want to bring a bat to a knife fight. You bring a gun to a knife fight. And that's what AI is doing. It's giving everyone a robotic butler. So they're making sure the stupid artist types that say, I don't need AI, pick up the pen. Well, certainly the smarter people are going to pick up AI and fool you. And this is the thing. Just because someone's in power doesn't mean in a bell curve Darwinian manner they deserve it. They don't. And it's not a Nietzschean philosophy king way of the world. This is why I've been so against Socrates and the concept of Plato, was these pre-Christian notions invented liberalism in and of itself. And I guess this is the Francois Laurel non-philosophy position I take, or the Plantinga style intuition is better than evidence. And I think only a small few Gnostic people, even some Jews, believe this, that to reject the liberal world, it's like Landon Benoit argues, or even Alexander Duke. It's like Alexander Dugin goes on Tucker Carlson and explains everything wrong with the liberal world and transhumanism, and still people shake their heads and say he's an anti-white shill. They don't. It's like, even if you dumb down the message, we're so swept up into it, realizing that no, this is what's going on. It doesn't have to be against it. You have to be for it. You just have to know, so you can create better art from it. And it's like, it's really hard to tell people this, because I think what Plantinga argues, they just don't want to think. It's the thinking is the basis of philosophy,
Well,
and now they're insulting you for overthinking.
but here's the thing: is like they've literally released completely retarded people as like the quote unquote vanguard of the entire left and right
Gramscian
wing.
meta-political bullshit that they love to say, oh, this
Right.
is a game of meta-politics.
So for example, this woman was making the argument that anybody who wants a border is basically a Zionist and they're supporting Israel. And so I said, so you don't want America to have borders? And all the people are attacking me, right? And so then I said, so then this person said, who's called the Palestine Seattle Coalition or something like this, right? And they say yes to my question of you don't want America to have borders. And I said, so do you want Palestine to have borders?
But yeah, it's a contract. Well, it's because they're diaspora. There's no borders, but moving agents of nomadic people who self-identify in high school cliques and tribes. So it's a type of nomadic anarchist. But they'll never bring up the fact of, Troy Southgate's National Anarchist Project, where there are no borders, but everyone's racially diaspora. And that was a great Trojan, 15 years ago. They had something called the Bay Area National Anarchist, BANA, with Andrew Human, who used to wrote for Richard Spencer's Alternative Right. And I was basically going, pretend you're Antifa, enjoy hardcore punk music, but espouse national anarchy. Basically, there is no government, there is no states, there is no nations, there's only diaspora of your race. Because if you're a fellow anarchist, it's not that you're selfish and libertarian. You should basically give right to if blacks or any non-whites want to be with their families and so you basically push in discrimination, which becomes the basis of property, which
Right.
begat liberalism.
Right.
And you need
Well,
trust,
see,
and yeah, that's
see,
right.
and again, this is one of the interesting things where they're like, women own their own bodies, and I'm like, well,
Do you own
aren't you a
it? Do you really
communist that
do?
doesn't? But I was like, aren't you espousing
A
communism, which
communist that
says that
doesn't
you
believe in
don't?
property.
Right. So and you ask people this, and they say they call you a fascist. I'm like, well, yeah, I'm just pointing out a direct contradiction. Like communism doesn't believe that anybody owns their own body.
That's right.
So
And I believe that too. You
what are
don't
you
own
talking
some
about?
property. Exactly. How can you? Because they want equity. They always assumes there's euphemism in the text. So they call you a fascist because they not only that they don't want to think, but they assume that there's euphemism before the conversation began. You must agree on these terms. And when you actually think and and you're objectively logic, let's say you are, leftist tranny 1125, and then you go up to them and you're like, well, that wouldn't make sense because as this, and you talk like them, then they might speak back because they don't want to harm their own allies, as they call it. I mean, it's very Israt's religion you're dealing with here. It's a very strange way where we can't each other see his faces, but we can send digital letters to one another. And when we do send the digital letters, it's the selfish narcissism comes back instead of assuming that we're humans or something. And I think if I think the part of the liberal context is like, listen, in evolutionary psychology, trust created civilization, and trust happened in northern European countries, which the hunter-gatherers and societies had to make in order to survive the cold climates. And when you had trust, you had to own property to know that this was a hut, that this was a village, this was you. But then if you had property, it began the relationship of the family, which then assumingly said that there was a liberal construct in order to do things because everyone had their own with the creation of the market, which then evolved into, a feudalist society, which evolves into capitalism, which kind of evolves into some post world we have today. And it's really just goes back to like animalistic nature of us denying, and I take a very Freudian psychoanalysis position of this. It's just denying ourselves as the animals we truly are. And we're saying the basic right of racial reality and men and women are different, estrogen, testosterone. We're just trying to deny that in favor of transhumanist technology and said this was some kind of low IQ thing when really we are. I've heard, I saw a weird, strange argument on YouTube, and I didn't watch it that much, but it was like, did you know the language is a parasite in your brain that affects you when we're better off not speaking? Well, that's a contradiction in itself because we need language in order to articulate complex thoughts for me to be on this channel, compounding all these ideals for you, and you can understand every word. To assume we don't need language will just put us as basically monks in a Buddhist temple or something. And that doesn't really get the
Yeah,
great
and again,
technological movie.
and again, even if you think that that's like the ultimate way to live as a human being, it's like, okay, well, make the case, especially by doing it, and then they're like, well, I just want to do it as like a
Well, it's
photo
still
op for like
self-hates.
Instagram or something,
Yeah,
right?
that's what I'm
So
saying. It's still the problem with saying language is a parasite is that it still self-hates, but it doesn't want to do good. It wants to be liberal and condescending as always. I mean, it's like a perpetual anti-whiteness. It's always perpetual anti-human. If they're already in the Timothy Morton ideal of the world where check your human privileges, the Anthropocene is about to die. Well, it's no longer about whites. It's about humanity as a whole when our alien overlords will come in and assume the humanity has humanity privileges. I mean, people are not ready to have those science fiction conversations yet, and I think Francis E. Deck said them in a weird, eclectic way. And yeah, I think it's very weird that. But I mean, what I'm trying to say is that language helps us articulate better ideals, better welfare of the world, more new ways of thinking about art, and then is assumed to be a reactionary Amish person seems to be very privatized libertarianism. Watch the world burn, MGTOW, I'm okay, and just live your best life. Well, then you can't judge if people are doing worse things and causing more pain in the world. And you leave to people like David Benatar basically arguing, you might as well not exist because you can't be happy, you can't be sad, you just don't exist. And it's the same language as the parasite argument, being like, okay, you just want me to kill myself? Yes, ethically, because you're above it all. It's articulately planned in a very strange way.
well, I was kind of uh sorry, I was watching I'm watching a young lady do like martial arts in a park as I'm talking about this, and it's just kind of funny. It's like it's making me just think it's like they're kind of selling women this kind of like
You're free.
endless adolescence forever or something. It's
Correct.
like
Correct.
you're still, you don't worry, you're still that hot 19-year-old, no matter if you're
Yeah,
27
but you
or
wouldn't do that in Dubai.
37 or
If you did
57 or
that,
60. Right.
if you did it in Dubai, you have to wear, cover your face because too many men would want to gang rape you, and you have to be owned by a man who owned 5 other wives. Can't do fucking kung fu in the fucking park of San Francisco, and that's the liberalism they
Well,
talk about how great it is, perpetually being
well,
19.
well, and again, it's like they say. Well, then when you say that, they're like, "Well, that's just because men are
Cultural
violent and
thing.
evil and all this stuff." And
Well,
it's
are
like, well, like,
Muslims? Are Arabs? That's racial. That's like, no, we're not.
right,
You're just
right.
being
Well,
racist.
but that's the thing is like, what makes a man a man? It's like testosterone, violence, sexuality, all these things.
Which you
Then
then claim that you're
what
sexually
makes a
attracted
woman?
to. Yeah,
Right. But then what makes a
passivity,
woman? It's like,
subservience.
right.
Yeah.
And it's so funny. It's like this is another like article idea I have is like how great it is that women empowerment is to become like a gay guy who has a corporate job or something. It's like that, it's like
Yeah, that's a
that's
great
the
one. That's a
ultimate
great
end
one.
all be all. That's like the ultimate end all be all final
You
boss
could
of
be a
like,
gay guy that treats other men with respect and then say other men are creepers and stalkers when they want you to think. And you give the guy a blowjob if you feel like it, but not all the time.
Well, when you
right.
characterize it like that, David Benatar makes a lot more sense.
Well, I find, I've been reading Benatar a lot recently. And actually, I was trying to compare it with, Peter Singer bioethics, Benatari existence, non-existence. And here's where Benatar gets really interesting. A lot of people forget about. I think the white nationalists are secret agents of David Benatar. What their argument is that you want truth, justice, in a nice white country. That doesn't mean black, doesn't mean Asian, doesn't mean Indian. It has to be truth, justice, in a nice white country. That means you have to annihilate the other so it doesn't exist, so you can make yourself feel neither good or bad about the situation. And the other side has to stop making other non-whites to make them feel good in a very Peter Singer bioethic trolley question way. So this argument is great against white male, Asian female to be like, well, if you have a Eurasian child, he's going to be a school shooter, and you only had him because you have a fetish for Asian women, which is irrational to liberal individualism. And that child wants to work with a white nationalist to say, I shouldn't exist because I can't feel good or I can't feel bad. Or if he did, it must be for the greater good. And so I believe that white nationalism and antinatalism is that the Eurasian kid is neither good or bad for the situation. It just is. You can't acknowledge that there's an opposition. It's a type of deplatforming, which is like, well, I just don't want to make sure it happens because to be exist is already, the axiom of life is painful, and so I don't want to live a life is painful. So just stop growing. And if you're a non-white in favor of white nationalist causes, in bioethic reality is that you should stop growing because I can't feel good, I can't feel pain, and everybody wins. And so I think David Benatar, his analytical logic for non-existence, is used all the time in ethno-nationalist circles to justify go to your room and stop growing in opposition. And so it's a very strange thing. It's like, so it
Well,
really boils down
it
to the natalism versus antinatalism.
well, I would agree, and I think that's why. And welcome, Gabriel. And I want everybody to jump in here, but I want to say this because it's kind of like a bigger point that kind of explains a lot of what I've been trying to do, which is that, and I wasn't even fully aware of it when I first met, Machine or Gabriel or Pill Eater or anything like that, or any of that. But it's like this whole thing of like white nationalism. What I've come to understand is like, white. The term white doesn't really mean anything. It's just a catch-all term of like consumerist America, capitalism, or whatever you want to call it. And then they just use that as like a bludgeon to say, well, like you're a white person. And it's like, well, 300 years ago, we were all killing each other in Europe, and there's no such thing as white.
Now
Now all
they're
of a sudden,
publishing
like we're just lumping
articles.
us all the same, right?
Well, they're publishing
It,
articles on countercurrents to say My Little Pony has something to do with white nationalism. And Richard Hoke is saying 7-Eleven is white nationalist because it's our last business left. And therefore, regardless if it's post-capitalism or not, you should support white people even if the world is declining. So that's the type of bizarre type of bioethics in the text.
on the
I
other
have a
end, it's
question.
like all the. Go ahead, yeah, go ahead.
What's up? I have what's up, guys? I have an observation and a question. Um, I've been noticing especially the last couple weeks, there's been a push, at least on my algorithm, of stories and YouTube clips about non-white people uh, subscribing to white nationalism, and a lot of times it has to do with like shooters, mass shooters, like even like in Indonesia. A couple weeks ago, I think there was a young man who opened up fire on his Muslim school, and had swastikas tattooed on him. And then in America earlier this year, there was a young black man who had similar aesthetics going on, and he shot up some people at his high school. And I'm just curious if you guys have noticed that, and also too, like, what is that? What is this? Either for real push or conscribed media push that non-whites are picking up white nationalist ideas. The only thing I'll say for me I'm actually mixed. However, I'm seen as African American by a lot of people. I would say the only reason why someone might do that that's non-white is because maybe they're just fed up with the way shit's going, like a lot of us, and that's one way they feel like they're gonna like stir it up or something. So I want to get your guys' thoughts on this non-whites allegedly picking up these white nationalist ideas and going
I,
with it.
I have two thoughts just really quickly. I think this is like a two-part question. It's like one is Sorelianism, the ideal of violence, and that you use violent tactics in order to change society. So when a revolution is happening, they create this kind of mythology in order to overturn the world, and then basically, there's a revolutionary, they all fall in suit, and then there's a militia, and then you create, what you call borders and countries. But then again, it's like, well, there's also different people. And going on this argument of existence and non-existence, it's one of the mantras of New Age communism, or at least in Duginism, is multipolarity, which argues that there is no G7 or BRICS. It's rather different parts of the world can can sustain itself, and there's no one world colonialism. It's different types of vying for power. Well, it's kind of weird that they push multipolarity because it also assumes ethno-nationalism, where only your own solipsism can exist. This is for whites, this is for blacks, but it can't exist a third party. So if you're like mixed or something and you have your own country for particularly Cajun or mixed, that just it can't happen because that must mean race mixing or fetishized, like, from both the spectrums. And so I guess, you go back to the ideal of, if they were to tell non-whites to be violent against whites, well, I don't think that's particularly a way of that. It's a strange way of framing because there's already been in Black Panthers and like other militia groups or John Brown Gun Club. And I think, to say that it's one thing is like a weird, again, the state being fearing of Sorelianism, which means that you must be violent if you think of the ideals rather than the action, which I believe, to take Foucault's line, it's a type of mental health, which I don't think there's correlations that if you're a communist, you then have to accelerate violence to over. That's the Sorelian part. I would just claim and say there is no dialogue or words to express a third party position or person who doesn't belong on either side, that they must take binaries, this or that. And this is why I think, as Norjack is saying, white nationalism, it seems to be admixture European people that can belong to each other. But, if you're fully French or fully Russian, well, it would be, counterintuitive if you fight against Ukraine. And that's a problem because then you can't have white nationalism. You just have Russian nationalism. They don't like it when you say, I'm a French, German, Irish nationalist, because it would destroy the ideal of white nationalism being that white nationalism. And this is what Greg Johnson says. You think you have a nationalism for all parties at once, the diaspora effect. And it doesn't really, again, if you could define everything by suburban houses, it's kind of weird. It's like saying you're a part of the club, but you're not a part of the club in a very, I would say, Jewish way. So again, I think it's more like it's Sorelianism, the dialogue that there's
the person who is uniquely mixed, I think that's not a proper term now. I think if you have a solid ground working, like if you're, Cooley from Jamaica or something, or even, from Burma, it's not or Filipino, it's not like a right definition, because you become your own institution. And what happens afterward, I think us speaking English is the weird egalitarian part, where we think we're all in one consciousness, and that's the dividing. I don't know.
Yeah, so I have some thoughts on it too, and I'll try to, make it coherent, because it probably won't be, it won't sound coherent, even though it's coherent to me. But there's a lot going on. It's like, I think the reason why a lot of people who are people of color, are identifying with, like, Nazism or right wingism or whatever, which, by the way, like, I have mixed feelings on that as a thing, because I don't really see myself as a white nationalist per se, but, like, I think what most people mean when they say white nationalist, it's not, I mean, the ones that I would even have a conversation with, the ones that I know that would say that, is someone like a Myron Gaines or like a Nick Fuentes, because what they're saying is not really it's about white. It's more about, like, you know, I think a lot of Europeans see themselves as like, okay, we're Christian, we believe in ethics, we believe in, you know, uh, property rights, we believe in, like, uh, certain ideals, right? And then, you know, that relate ultimately back to, like, men should be women. I mean, men should be men, women should be women, and there's, like, some sort of normalcy, quote unquote, right? So it's really just kind of like a normie thing. But then what I think a lot of these intelligence agencies have, like, done is, or whoever they are, they've made it into this, like, radical thing where it's like, let's demonize normalcy, and then, get these people to adopt this, like, extreme, occult version of it, um, that the average person who's like a Christian would never be a part of, and then these people will go and do, crime in the name of this, like, ideal, and it'll basically, like, tell the world that, wanting a nation of people to exist is bad, or wanting, these different ideals. Again, like, it's, I don't even, it doesn't even matter to me the whole history of, like, Hitler or whatever. Like, it's more about the idea of, like, should we have a nation? Should we have, like, a people or whatever? And the truth is, like, obviously, like, I'm pro people mixing. I don't think there's anything wrong with people mixing. I think it's probably a good thing in a lot of ways personally, right? Um, and I think that what I've noticed is that people all over the internet, in my algorithm, it's showing, like, oh, mixed people don't really have the right to claim one or the other. They're the weirdo. They're the outcast. But then if you look at something like white nationalism, like, most people who think of themselves as, like, a right wing or a white nationalist, they're the party of queers. They're the party of people that don't fit in. You see what I'm saying? But then, like, the left wing is, like, trying to atomize everybody. While or that's what they're kind of saying, you can be whatever you want, but really they're trying to make everybody conformist, right? They're trying to say you have to have all the right opinions, you have to be with all the current things. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, I think it's this kind of weird dichotomy where the people who are saying the loudest, be yourself, are the ones who are trying to make everybody the same, right? And I just think that and the people on the right are trying to say, well, you can be whatever you want, just be a good person or something, right? And I think, this is why there's so much confusion, because, both sides are ultimately feeding into a higher level dialectic of the occult or something. And I think that ultimate dialectic is kind of what Pillar's is alluding to, and is like, it's like this kind of, like, weird, secular Christianity or secular Judaism or secular, Islam or something, that's not really, it's not really an actual ethics or religious thing. It's just some sort of weird, you know, I mean, I would say Gnostic in the worst sense of the word, like, anti-materialist, basically, like, you know, go all the way to the other side where, like, your idea of what the world should be is more important than anything in the material world, right? So it's like I would say it's solipsism, essentially, in my opinion.
But I like that. Be whoever you want as long as you're a good person. I can fuck with that, man.
Yeah. And Yeah, and I mean, that's the way I see it. I mean, I'm sure that people would say that that's like literally, a fascist thing to say or something, but it's like, this is what I don't understand is like, I think I say I lean right just for that reason. It's like, I think people should have the ability to be a good person first and foremost, and then everything else, like, we can figure out. You know what I mean? Like, good people can work out their problems, I think, right? Bad people don't want to work out their problems. They want to force everybody to be like them. I feel like,
It's a good place to start, definitely.
yeah, and it's just weird because like I definitely noticed that like people who want to mix and create something new are pretty much universally demonized right now. That's what I'm finding, right?
I
And I think
I
it's
would
very
say
interesting.
I say that, Rene Girardian theory doesn't have to be based solely on Christianity. You can use Rene Girardian theory on what we're talking about, peoplehood and ethnicities, and the basis against egalitarian assumptions, or the ideology of sameness. It's like there's the premise that egalitarianism mean we have equal access to things, and then it's like, well, it doesn't promise us, that there's sameness, right? It's like people can be different and have the same access. Then it's like, well, for bad people, like you're saying, or like what we imagine to emulate, there could be bad influences, which then wants everyone to be the same. So it rather should be an argument of the ideology of sameness versus a world which is um, plural, or the multipolarity. That that's kind of like one word they talk about, or pluralism of many things, ethnic pluralism, cultural pluralism. That's kind of weird when you say, but what about multiculturalism? Well, that's the assumption that one peoplehood is 3 to 2 different things, and which already does happen. It's just not specific to that our differences make us unique rather than the sameness. And you could actually divide the world between what is the same and what is different, and that the ideology of sameness is a part of technological things like the singularity, or transhumanism.
Right. And I'll say this. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, to go on to what Appeal is saying, has there ever been a moment in history where there's been a similar multiculturalism being uh, displayed, uh, that we can use as an example to what's going on now, or is this really the in the case of America, like the experiment of mixing the pot? Has there ever been anything like this? What's going on now?
I mean, well,
That we
if you look at Mexico, Mexico would be multicultural, but a lot of people won't bring that up. It's a very strange project which was colonized, and then certain people came about, and I mean, kind of you could say Brazil, but I would say Mexico has more of an ideal where everyone still exists, and yet their country functions, possibly, or like Singapore, their country functions, but it took a hardcore dictatorship to make sure everybody is in motion. And I think those are Mexico or Singapore are like two multicultural societies. But I think biracialism is when you compound it down further to one peoplehood, which, I would say coolies in Jamaica, Chinese and Jamaicans, and then or Indians, and they get together and they realize they have an identity politic and they run the merchant class, and the Jamaicans are upset and they kick them out of the country, and then they have to move to New York, and then they go to Ivy League and talk about it, and or demand a coolie. I mean, same could be said. You could say the same thing about Roma or Gypsies, but that's a little different diaspora. But that's particularly about bell curve stuff.
Well, I'll put it. I'll add this little thing which may make it less clear, but I think from my point of view, it's like I'm pro-nationalist for the reason of like compartmentalization. Like, I think if you just have an international system or something like that, it's very fragile, right? And I think that people, generally speaking, the more atomized the system is, the more potential that people can figure out what works and doesn't work, right? But at the same time, if everybody decides to mix together and create one culture organically, I think that's not necessarily a bad thing either, right? But I think that the way it's being done now is like it's being forced down everybody's throats, and that's not a good thing. So I think that's a nuanced thing that people don't want to hear, because it's not. convenient
just think
to
it's
the
not
system, you know.
the only reason why you could push sameness is through, I think, technology. So that's why the talk about, the singularity or the transhumanist ideal, it's just saying we're all the same and we'll have technology to do it, which in turn would destroy differences, the very thing that makes us human. Because if you determine the entire world on supply and demand cycles and one thing's hip and one thing's not, who's to say this is hip to be what is same, being people have different versions of sameness and peoplehood. And that's like the egalitarian misconception, is that you may have equal access to one thing, but it doesn't promise the identity or the people that have it. And it's rather about the neglect and the denial of how different you are and why it might be inappropriate to be in a society that doesn't cater to your interests.
Yeah, and I would definitely say the worst part of the whole celebration of diversity is most of it's done to actually stifle diversity. So it's done in the name of one thing when it's actually trying to destroy it. Which is something that most people um they don't want to accept that, but there's so much money and stuff put into this, program of just making everybody, you know, exactly the same. But telling you the whole time that they want you to be your own person and have your own ideas, but every time you do that, you get punished for it. So obviously that's not the case,
Do you guys have any advice for those of us who have? I keep using this term mixed because it's colloquial, but I'll just use my son. Like he's basically every quote unquote race there is now. I think him becoming Taiwanese was the last Voltron segment robot he needed to get like almost every race in the world. Is there any advice you guys give to some of us that have children that are you know plural in the sense? And then navigating this world we're living in, how would you address those type of issues, race or whatever, and to them in general? Any advice?
I'll let Pillier go first because I'm trying to figure that out for myself. Like I think it's one of those things like I don't know that there's a good answer because it seems like the you know level of conversation, I don't know the right term for it, is just being switched every week at this point. So I think adaptability is going to have to be like primary to it, and that's definitely like that's going to be, I think that's the hardest question to answer for any of us right now, because it doesn't seem like anybody's safe. It seems like they can just turn on anybody for any reason at any time, right? Which is kind of bizarre, like I just don't know
Right.
how it's sustainable because you have like people from the age of like 13 all the way up to like 70s or 80s now where they'll just turn on anyone for any reason. It's like the flavor of the week, like who's the new 2 minutes of hate we're gonna hate today. It's like
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't seem like there's any limit to who they'll pick, it's like, and I think it's because there's more data available. Like they can see that like, well, this body politic or this identity might actually buck the system. So it's almost like on a weekly basis, they're like, well, remember, a few months ago it's Palestine, now it's, ICE, then it's the next thing. It's like whatever it is, it's like they just choose a new scapegoat and just point at that. And I think that's going to be the hardest thing. So I don't have a good answer, but I want to find a good answer for sure. Oh, I just realized Pillager's not here, so he probably had to drop out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
but you did. What's up, Machine Lies? Good to see you. I think he's there.
Yeah,
Okay, my
blessings.
phone. Bless. Good
Yeah,
to see you, brother.
I was hoping he was going to jump in too. I wasn't trying to filibuster or anything. We had
Yeah.
more people
No.
here, and then everybody dropped. So
Yeah. No, I was gonna say though, to add on to what you're saying, Jack, that like I'm really sick of this constant like bad guy this person's the bad guy, this like orange man bad, ice bad. It's not on politically motivated my annoyance of it, and it's just relentless, bro. It's like, can we ever get a break of like, I don't know, let's just chill, stop focus so much on like this particular person's bad. What about some solutions to the problems? You know what I mean? It's fucking nauseating and dizzying.
For sure, yeah, and I mean it's
Ugh.
funny because like I equally dislike both sides in a lot of ways. Like again, I lean to the right just for the reason that I think that like searching for some sort of like equilibrium or normalcy is probably like better and healthier for the average person, right? And it seems like the left side of is just like not interested in that. So I guess that makes me a right wing person or something. I don't know, but yeah, I agree. I think it's a very strange position to be in because it really does feel like there's just no chill left. But I think the good thing is that you're going to see a lot more people adopting that, and I don't know what it's like for you in Taiwan right now, but like it definitely seems that like outside of America, people are more people are more looking for a chill, right? Like they don't like I
Mhm.
don't think it's sustainable. I don't think you could do in America uh what they're doing in America to Taiwan fully right now,
Yeah,
right? Like maybe
y-
eventually, but it's definitely like harder, I would say.
yeah. I got an example of that. Like last night, I was at the park by my house, and they're setting up for a Lunar New Year festival. That's because Year of the Horse is coming up like in a couple weeks, and biggest holiday here. And I'm thinking like all this talk it's mostly overseas, and my friends and family overseas. They say, "Are you okay, Gabriel? I heard this on the news. The CCP's doing these drills and this and that, right? And they are doing crazy stuff and pushing the boundaries of the military here. Um, but with that said, it's basically been like this for like since 1949 when the KMT came to Taiwan and started Taiwan after losing the communists. It's always been a soft war going on, right? And it's just like in the recent like 10 years I've been living here. It'll be 10 years next week. It's just every day there's more ratcheting it up of this media coverage because of the social media cycle. That like the planes are doing this and the ships are doing this, right? So it makes it if you're paying attention to that, it's very tense. And China's the bad guy, right? But with that said, through through all these years since 1949, and even in the current ratcheting up of this news, people in Taiwan are just normal, bro. They don't stress on that shit, even though at any moment this could be the pop off point of the world. But yet we
Right.
just get along. And I came to an epiphany last night when I was at the park. I'm all, Gabriel, chill, bro. Like everything's good right now, man. Doesn't mean I shouldn't prepare or whatever, but like it's it's cool. People, we're just doing our thing here, bro. Even though
Well,
that's a real
yeah.
enemy per se. Yeah.
Well, I totally agree, and I think I mean, and what I mean by that is like, I mean, when I leave the United States, it's like everybody's just kind of going about their business, like figuring it out. Even like in the middle of a war, like I know people who live on the Thai border, having like rockets come over their house and shit. And I was like, oh, how are you guys doing? They're like, I mean, same shit, different day, essentially. You know what I mean? Like they weren't like freaking out like it's the end of the world.
Exactly.
They're like,
Exactly.
I'm still gonna go do what I gotta do, but maybe I'll leave town for a few days and come back, or if my house gets
Yeah.
burned down, I'll move. It's like,
Yeah.
they're not
You'll
like
deal with it when it
freaking out like
comes.
it's the end of the political, end all be all Armageddon. You know what I mean?
It's
Like
it's a
it's not a
luxury
big
to
deal.
stress about that, Nero. It's a luxury to stress in America
Yeah.
that a lot of us have to do that, right?
And
You have
and
no
it's a luxury
choice.
that's killing us
Right.
spiritually, I would say. Which
Yeah.
is
It's becoming debauchery.
crazy.
Luxury, it goes from wealth to luxury to debauchery. And we're getting that
Right.
debauchery part.
Yeah, and I think so. And again, it's one of the reasons, like, again, like I've made my
That's a
goal
cult.
very clear. Like, my goal is to leave the United States at least part of the year just to get like some breathing room, because it's like,
Yes.
what's funny is like, again, I live in one of the most liberal places, in the world, allegedly, but like my general experience of the people here is like they're just normal people trying to get through their day, but they have this political pressure on them that's like trying to like make them feel guilty all the time, even if they're all the right things, like person of color, check, liberal, check, but still the pressure's on them, right? So which is funny, it's like even if you meet all the criteria,
You
you
still
still
have
have this
pressure.
pressure on you, right? And so it's
It,
like it's insane. Like I don't think people can
no,
exist this way. I
no,
really don't think people can live this way.
it's so telling because I grew up where you live now for 5 years. I lived there, right? And even though I've been here for 10 years now in Taiwan, I still have those things imprinted on me. What you just said, even though I'm more open minded about things, those things, it's still there, man. That's how strong it is. So I feel what you're saying over there.
No, yeah, and no, I appreciate that because like it's something where like I'm so used to it in a way, which is one of the reasons I want to break it up because like I'm kind of numb to it in ways where it's not a good, it's definitely not good, but it's also like I say that I have a front row seat because I can kind of see
Yeah,
on the leading edge of like this is like where they're creating all the culture that they're exporting to the world via the phones and shit, and it's
the
like
beta test.
yep. And it's crazy because it's like it works. See, here's what's funny is like multiculturalism does work here, right? But it's also like it's working for the wrong reasons in some ways because they're kind of forcing everybody to like be proud of your difference, be proud of your difference. But then it's like they've just commodified it where it's like, okay, everybody just goes and does like like you're saying, like with the ritual, right? Like you guys are going and doing like the Chinese New Year, and they do it here too.
Right.
But it's like they just make that like, oh, we're gonna give you one day to go out and throw your firecrackers, but tomorrow go back and
Yeah,
get back to work, slave. It's like okay, like it's kind of what I mean. It's like disrespectful. It's like
it is.
it's really
Good wording, sir.
disrespectful in a way. Yeah,
Yeah,
and it's like
we get 2 weeks. Like, even if you have to work the most, bro, you at least get 2 weeks off here for Lunar New Year. This is like our Christmas, right?
right,
Now most people get like 3-4 weeks off. So it's like
right,
that's the way to honor the celebration, and it's not just one day.
right.
It's like there's
Well, I
certain
mean,
things. Even if you're
it's the
secular,
same.
you still
It's the
celebrate.
same thing. It's the same thing in Thailand. Like one of the things that trips me out is like most people work like I would say between 6 and 9 months a year. They don't work 12 months a year, two
Mhm.
weeks off. No, I didn't know anybody who works 11, 12 months a year in Thailand. You know what I mean? I just
Yeah,
didn't know anybody who did that.
yeah.
Even if they were wealthy or they were poor, people had other things to do other than just work all fucking day. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
and
it's no such thing as that.
you get no chance to slow down and reflect not only on the state of our world but on your own introspectual like narrative going on, bro.
Yep.
It's crazy, and I experienced this because I finally got a month off. I've been pushed like busting my ass in the school year, bro, and now I got a month off. So now I'm like, I can at least think about like what we like to talk about, like
Everything.
these things right here, everything,
Well, and
right?
it's like even like being married, like you're married, we're all like being married is one of these things too, where like you still got to date your wife. You still need time to reflect,
Every
like,
day.
who am I? Who are they?
Yeah,
What's up with my kid? Like, are we doing the
yeah.
right thing? Do we need to like pivot or readjust? And that's the thing is like people in America don't have time for that. And that's why everybody's getting divorced and shit. It's not necessarily
Hmm.
just because of the stress in and of itself. It's like you don't really have the time or the ability to like turn your brain off much because the phone's in your hand because you're depressed. And
Yeah.
and again, like I know it from experience, but like I look at other people and I'm like, man, like it's like I'd really try to put my thoughtfulness first, and I do a bad job of it because like I'm a schizo, quote unquote, because like I just like consume all this media and stuff. But I'm
Hmm.
also like I'm really trying to think like what's the best position to put myself in, my kid in, my life in. And the only way I can see it is like, man, like you cannot stay consistent in this system and think that you're going to be healthy. Like it's just not possible, right? Like so you just have to make that choice. Like, do you want to like be a slave to your mortgage, a slave to your car payment, a slave to your credit card? Like that's really there's only two choices. Like either you're going to be like a full slave or you're going to try to get like some autonomy in the situation. And
Yeah.
and I
And
just see a lot of people don't make that choice, and I think that's why they have so much anxiety, myself
yeah, yeah.
included.
Yeah, the rise of panic attacks and anxiety attacks because you never get a chance to stop and reflect, and it's so prevalent that like, yeah, I came over here and it's a lot less pressure, but it's still it's a beast system. The beast system is everywhere now in the world.
Yeah, you
Globalization,
can't
bro.
escape
Like,
it fully for sure. You can
yeah,
you
I have a
definitely
better
can't fully
version.
escape.
Neuro, I have a better version, but it's definitely still here. But even with that, still, I want that escape plan, man. Because like you said, if I leave this on default of like going to work, paying mortgages, like it's gonna literally, before I know it, I'm gonna be 60 years old, which is actually like in about like 12 years. Can't believe that. Like, and and I'm gonna be like, what the fuck? I'm already like, what the fuck? So if I don't start now trying to get an exit plan that's sustainable,
Yeah.
I'm fucked.
No, and I think all of us are in that boat. And I mean, even for myself, like I've always said, like my plan is to try to retire as early as possible. But that doesn't mean like stop working. It means like
yeah,
don't worry about debt. Basically it's like really here's what it is. I think a lot of us need the adaptability, especially like if you're trying to get married and have kids, it's a totally different game than if you're just like, I'm going to be single and I'm going to do
yeah,
this and I'm going to do that. Like when you have wife and kids, like you have to think like, how do I keep my marriage like as good as possible, as long as possible? Because like, look, the truth is divorce is always a possibility or death is
hmm
always a possibility. Like we don't know. And I think that like women know this instinctually, and that's why like they're kind of like okay no matter what happens. But men, like I think a lot of us, we don't want to think about it because we actually are
good
pretty
point.
sensitive about it. And I
Yeah,
think that's the thing is like a lot of men just have to start like helping each other, like really look at the actual situation and be like, look, like, we have to think not like women, but we have to think like, okay, like, women will follow our leadership if we're making decisions based on the right things. For example,
you're ever
like
competent.
yep,
Oh.
yep. And it's like for example, like I keep telling my wife, like I kind of want to live in Asia or even Europe or something. And it's not because like
Hmm.
I hate America at all. It's actually the opposite. I do love America, but it's also like, it's like I actually want to be able to appreciate America. Right now, I just
Yeah,
feel like I'm bitter. It's like I don't want to be here. It's boring. It's like
yeah,
all work, all work, all work, pay bill, pay bill, pay bill. It's like I'd rather like have some money, come here, spend it, enjoy America, travel around, rather than just be here and I'm just on the
dude,
grind all day, every day,
dude,
trying to pay my bills. It's
bro,
ridiculous.
bro. Like when I went, I've been here since 2016. February 23rd will be my 10-year anniversary, and I've only been back and since then one time, and it was in 2018 Christmas. And bro, I went back to America for like after living here for about like 3 or 4 years, and I had the best time, and it made me appreciate America so much because one, I was on like vacation, but we started off in New York and went to Pittsburgh, my wife, where she grew up. Then I went back home to the Bay, and it was so awesome, right? America was beautiful, but that's because I was like able to. I didn't have to stay there and do the grind there, and
Right.
and now I come here and I'm like nostalgic for it. Like, don't get me wrong, I'd rather live in America, but like you said, bro, it's like grind. It's hard.
Yeah, well, and
Um,
it's weird. Like that's the thing is like I actually when I was living over there, I actually missed the grind in America. Like
yeah,
I'll tell you one thing, like Americans work so fucking hard. Not I don't want to make it like we're not like mining diamonds hard or like, you know what I'm saying? But like in general, like we have a very strong work ethic, I would say. Those of us that, do have a work ethic at
yeah,
least. And
absolutely.
and you go to other places, like people don't really have that drive. And it's really weird in a way because like it puts you in a weird position where you're like, I'm trying to hurry up and get shit done. And people are like, you need to chill out. You know what I mean? They're like, no, we're gonna do it at our own pace. We're not going to do the American style work ethic, right? And I honestly found it very like hard to adapt to that. And it's honestly one of the hardest things about being outside of America is that the work ethic is, not, I don't want to say it's bad, but it's like it's just very different
It's
for sure.
different. You're right. You're right.
And
Yep.
and because they don't really believe in like improving things. And in America they don't really either ultimately, but in general, like people want efficiency, they want something to get done, they want like some sort of completeness to what they're doing, right?
Yeah, but the thing is, the difference is like they want things done and efficient, but it's not at the highest quality in a sense. It's like shitty,
Right.
not
Yeah, I would agree
not
for sure.
lasting. And like for example, I'm lucky enough I work for small American company, right? And here and like that work ethic you say, I totally see it, bro. I even see it from the Canadian people that work there, and
Really
yeah,
interesting.
and it's a North American thing, and like, and the thing is we work very hard, and it's like cool, and it's like of all the places I've always worked for Taiwanese companies before this, and like it's so cool, bro. Like we get each other, not necessarily like best friends or anything, but we understand each other. There's a camaraderie that probably is because we had a similar background and work ethic, like you said. Whereas the other places I work, bro, it's like a shit show. Yeah, they may get like, be very successful and all this, but the quality of what they're bringing is crap, bro.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
And I think that's the one thing is like we have to create. And I think the biggest, the thing that I see as the biggest challenge going forward is like I think men are going to have to build institutions because like here's the thing is like I think that women are very smart and extremely capable. So like this is not like I think a lot of people think it's like they get it twisted and say like, well, men don't want women in the workforce because they want to control women. And like it's like I mean, in a sense, yes, because obviously like you don't want your woman to go out and like work with like
Hmm.
I asked this woman one time, she's like, a woman can roof a house as good as or I was talking to a guy and he's like my woman can go do roofing. I don't have a problem with it. I was like, so would you want your woman to go like roofing a house 10 hours a day with 10 other guys all day and then come home and talk to you? It's like, and he's like, oh, what's the problem with it? I was like, well,
What?
nature, I was like, nature kind of dictates, like if a woman's spending
Yeah.
time with a bunch of other dudes, like
Yes.
at some point, something's going to
It's gonna
happen,
pair
right? I mean,
bond.
it's just,
It's gonna
right.
pair bond.
It's not necessarily that. And then it's like, well, that's her choice. It's like, yeah, but it's also like,
Uh-huh. The wrong choice.
though one decision can lead to many things. And look, the same
Yeah.
thing can happen for a guy, but women in particular have certain vulnerabilities, just like men have
Yeah.
certain vulnerabilities, right? Like men can have sex with 100 women and not really feel that
Yeah.
emotional about it in a sense, as much as if a woman had done it, right? And again, I'm
Yeah.
not saying that means like there's no exceptions or whatever. I'm just saying like in a general sense, that's just kind of
Yeah.
a reality, and and I say that to say that it's like I think that that's going to be one of the hardest things about going forward is like so many women feel this pressure to be like, and I said it earlier, like it's like a gay guy who has a corporate job. It's like they want to have their cake and eat it too. They want to act like a man, talk like a man, think like a man, and then when you treat them like a man, they want to call foul. It's like, well, like I'm not gay. I don't want to date a gay guy, right? But that's the way they act. And again, I'm not even saying bad things about gay men. I'm
Yeah.
saying like this is the general like culture that they're building in the corporate world,
Yes.
and it gets down even to like the blue collar jobs or whatever, women doing normal jobs of this just like chip on your shoulder and like always have to be like thinking about what HR is going to say or is my wife going to use the, not, I don't have to worry about this, but, is my wife going to use what I say against me in court if we ever get divorced or whatever? I mean, like,
Yeah.
this is the decisions
There's
people have to make. And I think men have to create institutions to like protect themselves against this. And like, I just don't know if that's possible in America, to be honest with you. So that's one of the reasons I think that like a lot of men are going to have to make the decision, like, where do you want to raise a family and kids? And
yeah.
if you can do that in America and have that, I think that's good. But one thing I know about America that I don't see happening is like there's no coalition of men in America. There's no like men getting together and helping each other. I mean, if it's there, I don't see it. But I would like to see it. Like if it's there, I want to find it, but I don't
Well,
see that happening.
but we can say money's done secretly like Masons and stuff. But I don't think, and I'm assuming things like I don't think they are talking about this. I don't think they're talking about like the stuff that we're
Well, I do see that within like Catholic Church. Like I live around a lot of Filipinos and Chinese and stuff, and like they kind of have that thing where like they sit around, smoke cigarettes, and drink beer, and they have like a men's space and stuff. But at the same time, like they're also like I'm not really envious of their relationships with their wife or their kids either. You know what I mean? Like there's, do you know what I mean? Like it's not. There's got to be a holistic thing going on. So, and I think that's the thing is like guys like us who have some sort of like commonality, we have to find some way of like, whether it be like a Freemasonic thing or whether it be like a, uh, you know, uh, just building businesses together. I kind of feel like there has to be like this kind of like, I've always had this idea of like business hippie where you're like, oh shit, he's gone. Hopefully he'll come back. But I've always had this idea of like a business hippie. Like you kind of, you kind of like do business, but you're doing it for the a higher level purpose, I guess, or something. So you're trying to help each other make money, and then outside of, out of that grows like some sort of institution where you're like, we'll tithe 10% of our money into like a holistic. I'm reading this. I don't know if my audio is working or not. So machine hasn't said anything for like an hour, so I'm getting scared.
I mean, yeah, it's a pretty good show so far.
Oh, I
man.
can't hear you. My bad, dude. Okay, let me
Oh,
reset
what?
my shit.
Alrighty then. Holy smokes. So how y'all doing out there? What's up? Earth supporters out here.
Yep.
Denise. Nice.
My bad. If you were talking the last hour, I couldn't hear you, so I apologize if I talked over you. I wasn't looking at my phone. So.
No, I didn't really say much. No, I was just saying it was a pretty good show. I contributed nothing, but yeah, it's pretty good.
Well, your presence definitely did contribute something. So
Yeah, I guess, but I mean, just in general, like, I didn't say much. Yeah.
well, and I was just trolling about the Freemason thing, by the way.
Yeah, but good guests so far. It seemed like we had a diverse set of guests so far, so that was actually excellent.
But I think we scared everybody away with the topic. So
Yeah, it is what it is.
yeah. I told somebody today, I was like, we cover everything from religion to politics to relationships to this and that. I was like, maybe that's a little pretentious, but I think we've proven that is true.
Oh yeah, definitely. There's no uncharted territory for sure. I mean, like literally, if you look at my show for the last 3 years, you'll literally see every single idea that's possible. Like, I'm pretty sure there's no ideas that we haven't covered, honestly.
That we haven't at least tried to attempt to like go into for sure. So I guess I don't know what we talked about or whatever, but I do want to get your opinion on my little article idea because I did the too long didn't read, but I don't think anybody was that interested. But I want to get your opinion on it while I got you here because it's really coming from like the conversations I've had with you that made me start and also Pill Eater. So I'm trying to merge like you and Pill Eater's ideas into like one thing. So it's like this idea of like Trotskyism mixed with like Pax
Yeah,
Judaica and stuff like that. So
yeah.
I
I mean,
think
I was
that's what I was.
rocking with, what he was saying today. I was rocking with most of it. It seemed like he was like, I didn't detect anything in there that I like kind of disagree with, and then I was sort of taking down some names as well. Some of the things he was talking, some
Yeah,
of the people he's talking about. I started taking down the names. If Pill Eater's talking, because there's a lot of guys he mentions I've not heard of, right? So
yeah. Well, I'll be honest. Most of what he said went over my head, so I had to like think on it for a little because I was like a little bit over my head too.
yeah, I understand him, but I'm just trying to like get into like, like more like, like I've heard of a lot of these guys, but I just didn't really like, it's like, like Francis E. Deck. He mentioned him several times. He mentioned.
Oh yeah. Well, he never heard of him before yesterday, but these gang stalkers said that like you sound like this schizophrenic guy, and then he goes and looks him up, and he's like the intelligence agencies are using the technology to like mind zap everybody and fuck their head up and make them schizophrenic, and he's like, oh, I like this guy. Let me order his book.
Yeah, it's cool.
So yeah, and because you read his biography, it's like literally like it's like a Philip K. Dick from like the 30s or 40s or something. It's some shit like that. So
Yeah, actually,
it's
I've been
pretty.
looking a lot at like, like William S. Burroughs, like Philip K. Dick, like, like this guy. Now this guy, seemed like it's very much in
Well, it's
line with a
very
lot of like, yeah.
yeah, very related. And well, like I said something to Pillator about this yesterday. I was like, I said basically, I was like, I think Cobain got killed over shit like this. Like, and I always use that as an example because, again, it's like, I think Cobain was like one of these people that everybody just says, oh, he's just some heroin addict, songwriter guy that killed himself. But really, if you see that he's like trying to merge like Western esotericism with Eastern esotericism, and he's getting courted by people like Burroughs, then you're like, well, that means that obviously a lot more weird interests were being looked at among him, right? And again, it's like maybe it's not the best example, but I think it's like it shows like how like art and politics and occultism and religion and all these things are not really that separate. And even business, right? Like, you know, entertainment is a business, right? But then why is all this occultism so deeply ingrained into a quote unquote business, right? Like it doesn't make sense uh on the surface at least, right? So that's kind of what I'm trying to get at is like it's kind of mind boggling to me that like occultism is so much ingrained into culture creation. Like there's really almost nothing in culture creation that's not tied to like religion or occultism or technology or any of this shit, which is pretty insane if you really sit back and kind of think about that. Yeah.
Right. Like it lets you know how much has been engineered because just words like, like occult or, technology, both of those words mean like hidden knowledge. Like they essentially just mean the same thing. Because it's like you're encoding
I never thought
information. That's
I
all
never
it
thought
is.
of that like that.
Yeah, it's
I
like
never really
yeah,
thought
you're
about it like
yeah, you're like obfuscating or complexifying or abstracting means to a particular end. So it's all like
that. Right.
means to end.
Well, so I think I might name this article a memes to an end, or like the
Oh,
memes
nice.
justify the end.
That's justify the memes. That's cool.
Oh yeah, there you go. I like that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The ends justify the. Oh, I like that's actually even better. The ends justify the memes. I like that. That's actually better than the other way around. So
Yeah,
let me
that sounds like
reread
it'll be
these.
a, like sounds like you're responding to Pinoid again because of his Machiavelli article.
Yeah, well, I was surprised Claudia brought up Machiavelli. I was kind of wanting to jump more into that because I've never read Machiavelli, but I'm starting to think I should read him. But
We talked about it last time too. So Claudia's surprising
yeah,
me. It's a breath of fresh air to hear the name of Machiavelli on the lips of the youth.
yeah, exactly. Because it's something that I always avoided because I was like, oh, I don't want to read some Renaissance guy from Italy or whatever. I was like, I didn't have that much respect for it. But we got the LARP extraordinaire. Welcome. What you think about
Nice.
Machiavelli today? Um, but yeah, let me read this. Let me read these two paragraphs again because I actually want to get your take on this because I want to take notes and see like how I can add more of what you're saying in your book into this concept. So okay, here it is. So the first part is the world's major powers are unconsciously building a global techno security state modeled on Israel's garrison vanguard paradigm. And just stop me anywhere if you want. America exports the revolutionary ideology. Israel invents the tech. Russia creates the threats that make it necessary, and China scales the system globally. Their competition inadvertently unifies the world under a Pax Judaica, not Jewish rule, but a planet where every nation adopts Israel's logic of permanent siege, preemptive tech, and managed conflict. Its international Trotskyism mutated into an endless security innovation, creating a world of high-tech fortresses in perpetual Cold War. And the second part is this: the fight over ICE is a microcosm of the larger shift. The left demanding abolition and the right demanding fortress borders are both feeding the same machine. Their opposition forces the state to replace brutal camps with more sophisticated digital surveillance, the smart garrison. Beneath this, an occult war rages between sects. Tech globalists who want a digital covenant, blood and soil mystics, who want ethno-techno states, and the bureaucratic realists who build a system. Their conflict isn't chaos, it's ritual forging of the New World Order. Every protest and policy debate unknowingly refines and accelerates the rise of the automated security state. We are all actors in a hidden dialectic, building the prison we think we're fighting. And again, I just want to say again, this perfectly sums up my political beliefs in a nutshell. So I'm actually really impressed that the AI could pick this up from like 3 or 4 like prompts of me that's like, okay, add this information, and slap it all together. And I think that's like a very brief summation of my political beliefs right there.
Read it again if you don't mind.
The full thing or the last part?
The part you're saying is a perfect summation of your beliefs.
Okay, so okay, I'll just read the last sentence of both things. Okay, so their competition, meaning these different countries' competition, inadvertently unifies the world under Pax Judaica, not a Jewish rule, but a planet where every nation adopts Israel's logic of permanent siege, preemptive tech, and managed conflict. Its international Trotskyism mutated into endless security innovation, creating a world of high-tech fortresses and perpetual Cold War. And then every protest and policy debate unknowingly refines and accelerates the rise of automated security state. We are all actors in a hidden dialectic, building the prison we think we're fighting. So I think like that's a really good summation of like what I think is happening on a political level, I guess. Like how basically like we're all being forced to act in a way that actually supports the system, even though we think we're actually trying to tear it down. Right. So like whether you're on the right or the left and you think that you're advocating for like what you want, you're actually helping the system better manage you as a participate in the system, a better participant in the system, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's highly accurate for sure.
Yeah. And so what I was asking is like, so how would you say that like if I was going to write this article or even a book and say like, okay, I wanted to make the argument that your book proves my hypothesis about uh, international Trotskyism is meaning like basically like no borders, no nations uh, on one side, and then like extreme like nationalism on the other side of like small feudal techno states, how they're actually like working together to like for the technology rather than for humans, I guess. That's and yeah, so I guess that's what I'm trying to like what would you say is like the main points that support.
I think maybe point out how it's specifically Jews and Christians that are used to fulfill this, and how like it's kind of like a and then also how the Jew and the Christian thing is actually just Plato and Aristotle in disguise, right? And then also how like like the myth of progress figures into it, because you talked a little bit about how like both sides are moving towards the same goal, and how like that's like the sort of techno universalism, so the universalism that's laid down by you know pretty much the main three that I can think is like Kant, Hegel, and Marx, right? Is like I kind of make a push in my book that similarly how Hegel and I mean how Plato and Aristotle are to blame, like for things like the Kabbalah. It seems like Hegel and Marx are to blame for sort of new occultism, You know, it's basically based on Swedenborg,
Right.
right?
So for example, what you're saying is like how like so most people think Marxism is like a political ideology, and you're saying that like it's actually a mystical text that's
Oh yeah,
trying to like forge some sort of new
yeah, like
religion.
yeah, it's like it's like an
Something like
extension of Sabbateanism, you know, where it's like it's chaos, you know, sort of like, you know, it's trying to say like, well, you know, our society is naturally chaotic, so we just like what we have to do is utilize this chaos to create order, right?
right. So it's basically like taking Nietzsche and inverting what he said. Like out of order comes chaos, and it's like, so let's just make more chaos, and we'll get more order that we can control. But actually, it's like they know it's a lie. They're just like, well, let's just make it up as we go along, and
Yeah,
it'll just
Nietzsche's
be
a
an ever
main
evolving
push.
religion.
Yeah, Nietzsche's a huge push in my book because like Nietzsche basically just said like the Jews are Plato, right? So then it's like, you know,
I
so
didn't.
then
That's actually funny. So what do you mean by that? That's funny. I didn't. I never. I don't think I've ever heard that before. But that's really funny. I
like
don't
he
know
just
why
kind
that's
of said
funny to me.
like basically like Socrates like follows like Jewish values or whatever. Like, you know, so it's, you know, so he's like, you know, so he points out like, you know, that like the
That's
whole
actually really funny.
yeah, because he's like, there's two people who follow slave morality. It's like the Jews and also Socrates, right? So it's like if you look at Twilight of the Idols, and then you look at the Antichrist, and you look at them back to back, it's almost like he's making the same argument against Plato that he's making against the Jews.
Interesting. Okay, got it. Okay, so so what he's saying is like there's a mind virus or something like that that's been put out into the world, and the world is like pretending that they don't know what's happening, but
Right. And that's what the
like
accelerationists are
right.
capitalizing
I
on.
got
You know, they're saying, well, there's linear time. You know, so they're saying since there's linear time, we can capitalize on this because it's moving towards something. So therefore, you have accelerationism, right?
but what we're accelerating towards. See, what's interesting to me is like all the accelerationists that I've talked to that are overtly and copping to the fact that they're an accelerationist. Whenever I ask them what they want, they're always like, "Well, it doesn't matter what I want. I just want acceleration." I'm like, "Okay, so you don't want something in particular?" And they're like,
Did you
"No."
read
But
that
then if you
quote
ask, which one?
that I put up earlier?
No, I didn't. It was my screen's really small. I didn't see what it said.
Yeah, like check this quote out. It says it says it says in the human use of human beings, which is a real book that, you know, Norbert Weiner wrote. Right? It says it says Weiner describes science as a game whose goal is the discovery of the order of the cosmos, but Weiner warns that science faces an adversary in the game, an arch enemy that he identifies with confusion and disorganization, the noise that obscures the order of the universe. Is this devil Manichaean or Augustinian? Weiner asks. Is it a contrary force opposed to order, or is it the very absence of order itself?
I'm sorry to ask you this. Can you repeat that one more time? I want to make sure I fully comprehend what he's saying.
He's saying basically like order, right, or the discovery of it, right, is like basically constitutes like the goal of science, right? So he's like, is the devil an adversary that opposes order, or the lack of order itself? So he's saying is the devil a necessary opposing force, such as in Manichaeanism, or is it like just non-existence, right? So that
Right, right,
leads us
right.
to a greater question of if evil is a part of God.
Well,
Right.
see, here's what's funny is like I would say that traditional Christianity sees the devil as like nothingness, essentially. But then Manichaeanism is kind of
Right.
like what most people have now accepted as Christianity. So usually when you say Christian, you're actually saying like this weird occult version of like Manichaean Christianity that says like, well, definitely bad, but I still love him because he's helping us get to the end point where we're all going to get saved or something, like some weird shit like that. And it's like, well, even if that's true, which I don't think it is, but even if it were true, it's like, well, you know, you're basically just repeating Frankish Sabbateanism, so you're basically like a weird crypto Jew, and you're lying about it. So like, why wouldn't you just accept that what you are rather than dressing it up like some other weird shit or something? I don't know. That's kind
Well,
of where I'm coming from. Where
yeah. Yeah, but what's so interesting is like Weiner comes to the Augustinian opinion, right? He says Augustine is right, you know, but he's using it as the goal of science, right? So
and
so
what's the
transcending evil.
what August Augustinian point, just to make sure I understand.
He's saying that evil does not exist. It's just a lack of information.
Okay,
So
see
that's
that's
pretty twisted, isn't
see
it? So he's twisting
I
Augustine
can
like he yeah.
right. I can understand the Augustinian point to an extent. Like, I think it's a little bit extreme to just say, well, like, evil doesn't exist. I mean, I think you could say that like evil is an absence of good in a sense or something like that. But I think when you start like
Yeah, to be fair, that
uh
is what he says, to be fair.
right, but I'm thinking that like therefore it's good because it progresses things. It's like, well, like I think that's a step too far, because there's all these other things that would have to be true for that to be true. And then you're making a claim about God, like you said, that like, well, God allows evil to progress us or something like that. And again, like I think that's I think that's going to lead to so much other things that people aren't being honest about it. So again, it's like, are you saying this because you care about the truth, or are you saying this because you have goals you want to get accomplished and you're not being honest about it, right? And I think that's an interesting thing, because most of the people that seem to take on that belief are unaware that that's what they believe. I know that sounds bizarre, but I mean, I think atheism is kind of an example of this, where they're like, you know, they don't really believe that there's a right or a wrong or a God or anything like that, but then like they act as if they're a Manichaean, or you know, a crypto Jew, or and when I say crypto Jew, I don't mean like you know, uh, a Jew that's like worshiping God every day and going to a synagogue, and I mean like this kind of like Frankish Sabbatean, like you know, let's trick everybody into this kind of belief system that they don't fully comprehend or something. I don't know what I'm trying to say exactly, but I definitely think that like we live. Like, it's kind of like when I say that we live in a post-Marxist world, which I don't even know if anybody else ever said that or if I'm just making it up. But like what I mean is like we live in a world where people already accept this kind of like bastardized Christianity as just like a given, and they don't actually think about what that belief actually entails, if that makes any sense, right? Like a cultural Christian, for example, right? Like a cultural Christian is basically like a solipsistic Manichaean Christian that's in denial about it, right? That's what I would say. But obviously, if you said that to the average atheist, they would, deny that and say they don't believe in God or the devil, but they're acting as their behavior indicates otherwise to me, right? Like they're acting as if the devil's a necessary part of progress, and we have to break some eggs to make the omelet and all this stuff. And so, they're basically, a theistic Satanist or something like that.
Yeah, it's like Weiner mentioned some pretty interesting things. And like he mentions like Augustine and Manichaeism. He mentions like Simon Magus, and he mentions like 1001 Nights. Like he says like technology is like a genie and shit. And he's like talking about like genies and fucking jinns and shit. It's like what the fuck was Weiner on?
Well,
Right.
it seems pretty. Who is this again? Who's this person?
The guy who came up with cybernetics.
Well, it makes sense. I mean, if you're again, I think. I mean, would you say that cybernetics and social engineering are basically euphemisms for each other, or am I out of line
That's
by
the
saying that?
book. That's the book that he wrote on cybernetics as it applies to social engineering. Is the human use of human beings. So yeah.
All right. Well, I
So
guess I'm
that's why
onto
it's interesting.
something then.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, that's
interesting.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, he wrote another work about spirituality, magic, and technology called God and Golem, where he mentions Simon Magus, the magician. That's mentioned in Acts.
Interesting. Very interesting. Yeah. And this is like the whole thing between like me, Twilight, Hyperborean, Avian, these gang stalkers, the Process Church, Order of Nine Angles, like all this stuff
we're all
is
like,
I mean, that's basically what.
we're all like sitting here like in the middle of it all.
Right. We're literally like a part of like a cosmic battle of like what it means to be a human, trying to define it. And then they set up the game, so every time we play the game, we're
Like it
helping them build
appears
a
like
cybernetic system.
right, right. It appears
Say
like
it
we're
again.
lost. Like the game is rigged to make us appear like the losers every time. Like it literally is.
Right. Well, it's funny because like that's why I've been doing the TikTok and the social media commentary in other places just to test it, right? And everywhere you go, the reaction by the you know proletariat or whatever you want to call it. I don't even know the right term. I'm just throwing fucking words out because I don't even know what really applies or not. But let's just say the proletariat for the sake of argument, right? Every time you engage with them, like they literally like I've been called loser, incel. Like I asked like, why are you a Trotskyist or something, and they're like, you're rage baiting, you're a loser, you're an incel, kill yourself. Like I'm like, okay, like is this the intellectual answer to the question, or like what's going on here? And it's just funny, like yeah, like you said, like they're literally playing the same game that we are, but you know, when you try to expose that we're playing a game, they're like, I'm not playing a game. This is fucking real life. This is dead serious. Blah blah blah. And I'm like, okay, like how do you judge if you're winning the game or not? And they're like, fuck you. It's like, okay, so are we playing the game or whatever? It's pretty interesting. It's actually extremely interesting because it feels like the losers of the world like us are the only people who realize that we're playing a game, and so we're automatically declared losers because we're trying to figure out the rule set of the game, right? So I don't know. Like that's kind of what it feels like for sure. Yeah, the grand chessboard or whatever Brzezinski named his book or whatever.
Technodronic.
Technodronic, yeah. I never really thought of it in these terms before, but this is very interesting because like
Yeah, that's the word
I saw like
Brzezinski invented.
what's it called?
Technodronic.
Sounds like one of those like body horror movies, like Videodrome or something. I think that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, he distinguishes technology from electronics because he says electronics has no moving part. So he argues that society is not it's moved from techno industrial to technodronic, right? And so Alul like basically critiques him for saying that this is a new order of technology. He's like this. He's like basically Brzezinski just made this up. You know, he's wrong about it.
Well, what would you say is the what do you think he's really trying to say with making up that term though? Do you think he's trying to say like is he trying to give like a justification for social engineering or cybernetics or something? Is that kind of what he's actually saying? Like is he basically just saying like, well, we have this problem of psychodronics or whatever he said, whatever the word is. But really what he's saying is like the problem is that we have to harness human potential and harness it into a way to make humans fit into a technological system via electronics or something like.
Yeah. Yeah, the work in question is called Between Two Ages: America's Role in the Technotronic Era. Sorry, technotronic is the word.
Well, it sounds like to me that that Alex Jones is probably a really big fan of Brzezinski, and that's why he made all this hoopla about Brzezinski's the evil one or blah blah blah. But it's like more than I think about it, it's like actually he's probably a huge fan of Brzezinski. I don't know. Maybe I'm tripping, but I'm starting to get a clearer picture. Between two ages. Wow. I mean, like, I just don't even know what to say. I mean, like, I don't know exactly what that means, but it's very Pollyann or something. I don't know. Age of Horror.
Yeah, I haven't looked at this yet. But yeah, this is a paper that Alul cites, and he says it's all wrong.
Okay, so I'm starting to get a picture. I'm going to put Alul, Brzezinski. Let's see who else. I'm going to write these down. Hold on one second. Okay. Alul, Brzezinski. Who's that other wiener guy? Who's the wiener man? Who's the wiener person?
Norbert Weiner.
Norbert Weiner.
Weiner.
What's the other name? Oh shit, I forgot something. What's the other name? Give me the other name of the people we mentioned here.
You
In
said
regard,
Brzezinski?
yeah. So I have a Lowell Brzezinski, Norbert Weiner. Because I'm going to plug all these into my things
Nice.
here.
Yeah, that'll be wild. Yeah.
Late, not right now, but later. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this later when I actually have time to sit down and edit it. But
Yeah.
a Lowell Brzezinski, Weiner. Anybody else you could think of on
Just
this
go
topic?
back to like when you first asked me about the article, and then I
Yeah,
said a
yeah,
bunch
I
of
will.
shit. I said like a bunch
Yeah.
of shit right then.
Yeah. I'm just trying to remind myself now. So like, usually if I write things, I
Yeah.
remember it better. So like, it's like I
Yeah.
was
also
driving, I
thought it
couldn't
was.
write.
Yeah, I also thought like the motif with like China, Russia, and Israel was pretty cool. You know, and you might want to like I do a thing with like France, Britain, and Germany in my book. You know, so it's like, so maybe you could say like how they like switched off right to Israel, China, and Russia, instead of France, Britain, and Germany. That'd be interesting.
Germany. Okay, I'm gonna write that down. And then what is it about France, Britain, and Germany? Is that like the Anglo-Saxon crypto Judaism thing angle that you're going for?
No, it's like empiricism. Empiricism, rationalism, idealism. That's like what I put it. So what they say is like British economics, French politics, and German metaphysics. It's like that. Like the world that like was subsequently like from like after this 16 to 1800s was basically charged by these three things.
Okay, so you said British empiricism
Right.
or economics? Sorry.
Both. I said both. Right.
And which one is for France?
It would be politics and rationalism. Right. Rationalism is
Politics.
basically like Descartes.
Right,
Right.
right, right, right.
Like you basically say like, ideas correspond to like reality. And right, like that's basically rationalism. So you just say like, yeah, math is real because we can think about it. And with empiricism, you say, well, our experience with the external world is real. But that's basically all there is. Like there's just experience with the external world. And then with with German metaphysics, it kind of blends these two worlds together. It says like, hey, look, like, the fact that we can rely on our senses is the same fact that like we have ideas in our head and they correspond to real things, right? So basically Kant just shows how this is all
Right.
possible.
Right, right, and I think I get you now because like basically what you're saying is like this leads to solipsism, which leads to all this other bullshit essentially that we're talking about.
Yeah, definitely leads to like individualism, like how Peter was talking about. Like you're an individual. Like
With no continuity to anything else essentially, or not necessarily at least. Like it gives the possibility of like the minority of one ideology, I guess.
right.
Well, it's kind of funny because like this is kind of like subconsciously what I've been arguing to all the leftist people. And I actually did this in school. I just kind of didn't think about it much, but of like, well, what about the minority of one, right? Because like if everybody's oppressed, wouldn't you ultimately just take that down to like the um logical conclusion that we're all individuals? And they're like, yeah, of course. But then like I'm like, well, why are you collectivizing everybody as like a person of color? It's like, so what's a person of color? And they're like, well, anybody who's oppressed by white people. I'm like, well, what's a white person? And they're like, European people who oppress people. And I'm like, okay. So I was like, so can a person of color oppress another person? And they're like, well, yes, but it's worse if it's a white person oppressing a person of color. I'm like, okay, well, it makes it worse. And it's again, it's just I'm just trying to do like Socratic dialogue with them, like try to understand their point. And I guess what it seems like you're saying is like it always goes back to like a fusing of Platonic ideals with Aristotelian ideals. So like you're basically inflicting on the whole world like this dialectic that produces like a Marxist Hegelian result or something like that.
Yeah, I mean it's like, you like separate yourself with nature. There's like a ladder to God, right? In which you could basically replace nature and become like God, and like so like but it's combined with the Jews, right? Because the Jews are like the sons of God, right? So it's like the Jews basically replace like 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 however you want to spin it, right? Like the Jews, right? Their nation state, replace the entire thing, and then the whole international idea sort of replaced the idea of the nation state, and that's why universalism is so effective.
So Okay, so let me go back and read this because I feel like there's something I'm missing. Not from you, but just from like the points that I've tried to make, and I want to read this to you. So like
Yeah,
I was
for
having this
sure. Yeah, I'm
argument.
just trying to like boil it down into like little bite-sized pieces, if I can.
No, no,
So.
trust me, I need it, and I need even smaller bite-sized pieces
Right,
because
right.
I'm honestly not a very intellectual person as much as I try to pretend to be one. So okay, so so I wrote this. So after this conversation with this like you know, whoever it was on social media. Let's see. I wrote this question and it gave me like a very interesting answer. So man, this thing is really long. Holy shit. Okay. So I said. So the first thing I said was I want to make the case that Trotsky was a Zionist. Find actual evidence or allusions to it. And it says Trotsky's was explicitly against Zionism. And then it went into like reasons why contextual allusions often get misrepresented. And so I just went down to the conclusion. I just skipped ahead and I was like, see if I can find this part here. Okay, here it goes. Okay, on anti-Semitism and the hollow, you know what? In his final years, Trotsky wrote powerfully about the rise of Nazism and the dangers of anti-Semitism. He argued for armed self-defense of Jewish communities and saw the catastrophe approaching. Some misinterpret his urgent warnings as a turn toward Zionism, but his proposed solution remains steadfastly internationalist and revolutionary: the overthrow of capitalism and fascism. And let me see if I can find this next part here. And then I think I said, theorize how the goals of Zionism and Trotsky's goals would work synergistically. And it says Zionist goal to end the British mandate in Palestine and establish a sovereign Jewish state. This requires dismantling British imperial control. Trotsky's goal to overthrow the global capitalist imperialism with the British Empire as a prime target. Which is ironic because Orwell wrote his whole book 1984 about how England was literally run by Trotskyists. So I don't know. I got to figure that whole angle out. Okay. Just that potential synergy. Let's see here. Okay. Trying to figure out. So it gave me three answers. It said anti-imperialist front, anti-fascist defensive front, and socialist construction front. So, and then it says anti-Stalinist front. And then it says the inevitable breaking point, the national question. Okay, so let's see here. Theoretical conclusion. The synergy could only ever be tactical and temporary based on converging immediate enemies, British, Nazi, Stalinist, or immediate practices, collective defense, socialist construction. It would be a critical alliance where the Trotskyist partner would constantly attempt to radicalize. Sorry about that. Would attempt to rationalize. Let's see here. Sorry, I lost my place here. Here to radicalize the Zionist workers against their own nationalist leadership, aiming to transcend Zionism itself. The ultimate theoretical framework for this synergy is not one of shared destiny, but of dialectical sublation. The Trotskyists would seek to utilize energy, organization, and revolutionary potential unleashed by the Zionist movement while striving to negate its nationalist foundation and preserve its socialist elements within a broader internationalist revolution. Zionism's productive contradictions would, in the heat of the struggle, be resolved in not into a Jewish state, but into a regional socialist federation.
Oh yeah.
So I guess what I'm trying to say is that um, somewhere between Zionism as a real thing and the dissolving of all nation states as they currently exist, how would that you know go to the Jewish plan of subversion and taking over? I guess like that's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, where's the rubber meet the road of like how they go from like if the only nation that exists would be Israel, that would be untenable because then everybody is obviously going to be like, well, why do you get a nation and nobody else does, right? So they're kind of like seeming to diffuse that issue to everybody, saying like, and again, like it's interesting that they've put the left wing as anti-Israel but pro-Jewish, right? Like the Alex Pretty guy who got shot, right? He's very clearly like a Jewish drag queen, atheist guy or something, and now he's like the saint of the new left against Zionist and Nazi nationalism worldwide or something. So I think that's very. I mean, I'm not going to say that it was you know, what's that term for the Russian events on the news that were manufactured to manufacture consent? Remember, you had that documentary. Whatever that term is, I'm not going to say it was that, but it does seem very interesting. It's like all these leftists are now saying, like, see, they'll even shoot a white woman or a white guy. Of course, they won't call him a Jew, but a white guy because they're standing against imperialist, colonial, nationalist belief structures, right? So it's just very interesting of like how they say um, your own stolen land, and it's like, well, you also want to. So it's like colonization is bad, so let's bring the entire world to America with open borders until America falls, and then after that, we can send everybody back home or something like that, right? You see what I mean? It's like colonization bad, but let's bring more people here and colonize further. And like I've literally seen people claiming to be Native Americans make this argument. So I'm like I'm not a nice Native American. I want to see all you guys scalped or whatever. I mean, something to that effect, right? And then it's like, okay, so America is bad for like invading and colonizing America, but you want to open the borders up, bring more people here, and destroy the sovereignty of this nation that exists, and then just keep everybody who came here in like a stateless, you know, I don't know. Like that's what I'm trying to understand. Like, what's the plan? I mean, obviously these people don't have a plan, but I'm saying like whoever their bosses are, who's like writing all the propaganda, they must. I mean, I'm assuming that they have some sort of you know at least fake ideology that they're trying to get these people to believe in or something, right? So I'm trying to understand like what's the actual like end all of this situation, right?
Well, I think the end is that Israel set up like a fake end of time scenario, so they're going to be eliminated.
Right. And then out of that, so and here's what's crazy is like, so okay, let's say that the leftists get their way and Israel ceases to exist, and then Christianity is like, again, it's kind of weird because it's like, well, Christians say it's like, well, if that happens, then it's the end times, right? So
Or it might be another, like, a longer Christian LARP in the Holy Land.
what does that mean?
Like, probably the Orthodox Church will take over in Israel since they're already camped out there with the Jays as their landlords. No, Russia and Israel will, like, take over. They declare, like, victory.
That's fucked up, but I can actually kind of see what you're getting at. It's pretty interesting.
Well, it goes to that clip that I shared, like, with like Andrew Wilson, where he's like, we should send a bunch of Christians to Israel. He's like, if you want Christians to support Israel, you should allow Christians to go there. And he's like, send 3 million, Christians to Israel per year, and it'll fix the relations.
So, but but then would you say that that's part of like the plan? I mean, obviously, I don't think. I mean, like, we're not going to go back to like Theodore Herzl and say, what did Herzl imagine 100 years or whatever of Israel, and then it goes away, and then something else comes out of that, or whatever, or is it more of like an ebb and flow of like, okay, we try the first time, it doesn't work, and then we'll just go back into a diaspora mode and you know work on getting this kind of international borderless thing going or something, or
I mean, there's not that many people in Israel. I don't think the whole thing will last that long. I'll give it like 50 to 100 years.
well, I've seen a lot of these people who are pro-Israel saying like, well, a lot of people who have Israeli citizenship aren't even Jewish. There's like Arabs and Muslims and Christians, and so they try to make it into like the civic nationalist argument suddenly, and it's like, okay, uh, so I guess they're trying to say like a lot of IDF soldiers are non-Jews or something, which may be true. I don't know, but it's kind of an interesting.
Yeah, it's probably a good way to go to Tel Aviv University. Join the IDF. They'll pay for your schooling.
Well, like I asked this person, I said like, so I think I might have said this earlier, but I just want to reiterate this point. So like the person's like, so I ask, so you guys don't want borders for America, and all these people are like, yes, we don't want borders for America, and then like they're Palestinian, like pro-Palestinian people. I was like, well, do you want Palestine to have a border, or right? So, and they haven't answered yet. I mean, maybe they will, maybe they won't, but I just think it's an interesting like narrative. It's like, okay, so like let's crash the American empire, which even the right wing people in this country pretty much want. I mean,
Right. Yeah.
so it's kind of like, okay, so you actually agree with the right wing people that the American empire should come to an end, but you're like, well, it's not enough to say that. We also on top of that have to say, well, like white people can't have a homeland, but everybody else in the world gets a homeland, but they're all going to make America their homeland first. It's like, okay, like, you know what I mean? Like, again, it's just like so many hoops to jump through to like figure out the mental gymnastics of the current formulation of anti imperial belief structures, or whatever. And I'm asking you too because like I know you study political theory and all this. I mean, political science. Like, is this on purpose that they're being schizophrenic, or is there a larger? Do you think it's a larger game plan, or because of the technology, like they're just kind of adapting as they go? Like it's like we'll just kind of figure it out as we go along, type of thing.
Yeah, I think it's more the that they're just figuring it out as they go along. I don't think there's an overarching plan.
Even the Jews don't really have an overarching plan. It's kind of like,
well, the
we'll
Jews
just
are
kind
like
of
controlled by like people who don't want there to be an overarching plan. It's just like the push is towards like either like some sort of false eschaton or like or you make it up as you go along.
well, it definitely seems that there's like this schizophrenic. I don't even like the term schizophrenic, but
Yeah, the schizophrenia comes from like not wanting to change your like self-fulfilling plan that's just like you made it up for some greater purpose, but really it's just for your own enjoyment. Right? That's the schizophrenia.
so it's like basically like let's try to justify all these things that are altruistic, but actually we hate everybody. And
Yeah, let's let's just justify mediocrity out of self-hatred. I think that's kind of where they're at. Right?
I mean, isn't that where well, that's kind of why I was asking. This whole thing started with me asking Claudia. I was like, "Do you want to do a stream about neurotic nihilism?" But that kind of perfectly sums it up, doesn't it? It's like I hate
Right, yeah.
myself, and so I just want to like
Drag other things down.
Well, it's funny. What I've noticed is like that's actually the best responses that I've given. I think to all this, where I'm like, I was like, "Oh, you sound very unhappy. I hope that something will bring some joy to your life tomorrow." Or something. And usually that's when they don't know what to say. Like usually that's when I start getting like the most hate, where they're like, "You're an incel," or That's when they just start name calling you, and I was like, "Okay, like you're bull." I said, "Have a nice day." You're like, now you're bullying me or something. I'm like, that sounds very you know negative or something. And I don't think they can handle that reaction too, where you're just like, okay, well, hopefully you find some joy in your life or something. And again, like I'm not really doing it to be mean either. I'm legitimately trying to understand like where is the common where like at least on the internet, like what's the common denominator of like all these different personality types, right? Of like what like why are these people in particular drawn to like this particular ideology and like making this their identity or some shit. And maybe that's what it is. Maybe there's like this whole neurotic nihilistic personality type that they're trying to wrangle for whatever reason. Then I'm going to share my screen in a second. I'm just getting suited and booted on the computer. and I'll show a couple things,
Nice.
and then I know you're about to start your stream too, right? So, all
Right, like in an hour though. We still have like a whole hour.
right, cool. So I'll go for like about an hour is about what I got left. So, oh, somebody's in the back. See who it is. Oh
Who
shit!
this? Avian Buddha. The real one. Yeah, let me show you this
Yeah.
one.
Hello, can you guys talk?
Yeah. Yeah, can you hear us? Oops. I think maybe he can't hear us.
Yeah, he must have dropped out, or something. Did you see this? Oh wait, you were on to show something? Oh, you did. Okay, I did share the screen.
Oh no, it wasn't this. It was. Yeah, I'll show it later before we leave. It's fine. Yeah, no, I'm just gonna be looking at this document because it looks like Alul kind of, says because it's funny that Brzezinski wrote 100-page, basically book on, technocracy. I think that's pretty interesting.
But you said you kind of reject the idea that there's a technocracy, at least in the sense that most people use it, right? Like you said, like it's not really like a plan of technocracy. It's kind of like, well, we're going in one
what's funny?
direction, and yeah.
You know what's funny? Me or Bob Smith, that weird girl?
Yep.
Dude, she totally noticed, like, she totally shared, like, a Courtney Turner video, right? And said, like, how it's proving me wrong, by the way. So she totally got what I'm saying. Like, she totally got, like, that what they're saying is totally different from what I'm saying. So yeah, it's pretty funny, dude. She, like,
It said
made a
that you're
video.
wrong. It said that
Yeah.
you're wrong because of Courtney Turner. That's actually really funny.
Yeah, she's like, oh, so it's pretty funny that, like, this whole, like, technocracy thing is designed to, like, say, like, no, there's people who are pushing the buttons, that are evil actors, and if we take over the technological system, we'll make it work right. So this is the whole narrative they're going with, right? So it's pretty funny, right? So I just like to pop that bubble as much as I can, right, to show people that no, it's the system is inherently,
Well,
like, moving
it's
in a
funny
bad
is like
direction.
I actually think that's probably the main reason why we're hated so much in these circles. It's not because of
Oh yeah,
Christianity
they
or
want to defeat
Islam or
that
anything
man.
else.
No, exactly,
Yeah.
dude. That's exactly right, and that's why I don't put those issues up front. I could put those issues up front, and there's hundreds of people that are already falsifying fake conflicts within those issues, but nobody is actually showing the technology angle. Right? It's pretty fucked up.
Can I talk
Well,
about
what's really interesting is that
right.
how all these people who were in the circles around us before were like, "Oh yeah, I want to talk about technology," and then as soon as you start
Right.
talking about technology, they're like, "Actually, I hate you and I hope you die and burn in hell." It's like,
Yeah,
okay.
let's talk about how great AI is instead. And yeah, so. But yeah, Buddha, you want to say something?
Yeah, just I'm gonna say some stuff, but it might be a bit dicey or a bit contentious. I'll just say it though.
Yeah.
First I want to read this quote from Abbas Kiarostami. He was a famous film director. He recently passed away. He's Iranian, Persian, whatever. When you take a tree that is rooted in the ground and transfer it from one place to another, the tree will no longer bear fruit. And if it does, the fruit will not be as good as it was in its original place. This is a rule of nature. I think if I had left my country, I would be the same as the tree. So what I want to talk about is that I don't like Israel, like how they commit genocide. I mean that's pretty plain of fact. But the fact is, I've looked into it. Iran is sanctioned and North Korea more than any other country. Okay, Iranians are being plundered. For example, when Obama gave money to Iran, that was Iran's own money. That was kept as frozen assets, from Iran. Okay, they're basically plundering and thieving Iran's own, money as frozen assets, and those, both the conservatives and liberals never mentioned that, I mean, and, I don't like Israel, but I don't think it's in the people's interest, to be fighting Israel, because Israel has so much power, and at the same time, I think Westerners, the governments, not the people, I distinguish average people from government. They also use Jews as a front sometimes. So they have like vested interest to divide Iran up, take its resources. That has been going on since the 1800s with Russians and Anglos. So blaming the Jews all the time, I think, is myopic. And at the end of the day, I do care for Iran's interest above, the interest of, let's say, Europeans or Americans. Why should I care about them when they have been, plundering my ancestral nation? I have no place to go back home. I have been bullied for my race. I have extreme identity crisis. Now I don't have a home to go back to ancestry. It's being sanctioned. It's being threatened. And I don't like it when I go and I see people LARP as my fucking ancient ancestors and stuff like that. Twilight, Michael Caesarian, and other people do. Yeah, and it's a complex situation. I'm not saying I like Israel though. I don't know. It's just that they're sanctioned like crazy. And Iranians are bullied on Twitter. Same with Indians. And they're bullied on far right. Being called mongrels and other stuff. And I don't think it's good for people of different races to exist in countries they don't have ancestral ties to. I don't have any allegiance to America, and I'm gonna get that out there right away. And so, but I would, if I were born in Iran, I would probably die to protect it or something. I'm not gonna fucking risk my head for America. And I just wanted to get that out there immediately and stuff. Yeah, it's okay.
How unpatriotic.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when I see people suffer, I feel bad for them. Like individuals suffer, I feel bad for them. I'm not a sadist. I'm not sadistic. Like I don't like to uh cuck people, or I don't like to emasculate people and do usury and stuff like that. I'm not that kind of person. And so, you see what I mean? I'm just saying things are complex, and there are gonna be a lot of people talking shit behind me now, but that's fine. And so I don't like Twilight, and so I don't like his personality. I'm just getting that out there, and so it's very disingenuous. But I'm authentic. I'm always open to talk things out, and I will not scream over people. I don't like screaming over people. That's all. I'm very transparent, and so that's how I think, and my logic and my reasoning and stuff like that. Yeah, that's all. Yeah, it's and you can just look it up, like, it'd probably be on Japan's level or something, and the fires that are occurring in the northern top forest, those are pretty bad too. And so, yeah, I need to improve my Persian too, and so my Farsi, I need to improve it.
Well, the U.S. government would like to disagree with you, sir, because as long as you're within drafting age.
Wait, did everything freeze? Wait, can you
No.
hear me? Oh, yeah, okay, that's weird, yeah. Yeah, the U.S. government treats its people terribly and stuff, so every government, yeah, I don't know, yeah. Yeah, it's not good. The world is a mess. Yeah.
Well, just remember, when the frozen people come for you, avian, let it go. Get it, maybe frozen. Yeah.
Yetis.
It's a fucked up situation.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, what do you guys think about this picture?
Ketchup, mustard, and mayonnaise.
It's weird. Like, not like weird. Yeah, it's freaking weird.
Maybe Russia would try to hire some Americans to come and fight for Putin.
Like, libertarian communism is a weird,
Hey, what's wrong? You don't want to be Steven Seagal?
Steven Seagal. Yeah, he went to Russia, right? I think so.
He sold out allegedly.
Yeah, that was weird. Yeah, I always thought that was kind of weird. And stuff.
Machine, what do you think about this picture here?
Yeah, I think we should ask Howard Zinn. You know, Dr. Howard Zinn, what he thinks. You know.
Okay, you guys go on a first date. What do you think about this?
Just throw some meat on those bones. The Bride of Frankenstein. Or is that the bride of Jack Skellington?
If you go outside and you see this guy standing outside asking for your ID, what are you gonna do?
Probably get in my car and drive backwards until I get shot in the head.
Looks like Chris Redfield. What do you think, Lorp?
No, not at all. Look like a gay Vanilla Ice Wesker.
Oh yeah, it does look like Wesker, but it is supposed. I think it is Vanilla Ice.
Probably is. Everyone's been making memes about all the people who got. They've been making fun of Ice Cube Man, and everyone who's got ice in their name.
I want to ask.
And another one.
Avian,
and another one.
I want to ask Avian and Machine. What do they think of this picture here?
Is that real? That's weird.
I mean, if that's how he sees himself, you know. Kind of looks like Adam Green from No More News.
Maybe he was an Indian guy 10 years ago. I mean, Gabriel asked us about this earlier, so I thought I'd share.
That echo.
Yeah, it's a common name where we're from, honestly. There's a lot of guys named Nadim Khan. It's very common.
So this looks like a picture that Jim Bob drew, but I'm not sure if it is or not.
Yeah, buddy. Good thing that new thing in India is popping up, right?
Based.
And it's going to get really rough here the next 5 or 6 years.
The world's most viewed categories of porn by nation.
Oh.
Yeah, that makes sense that we'd get MILFed. We'd get the MILFs.
No, we got lesbians.
Yeah, we got a lot of lesbian too. We got like lesbian MILF crossover. So it's like Pakistan and US are pretty much similar in their porn tastes. Looks like. It's like there's a huge MILF region above like a tiny lesbian region.
What's going on with fucking Upper Europe, dude? That's a lot of purple.
Well, so there's in Germany it's German porn. In France it's French porn. In Japan it's Japanese porn. In Brazil, it's Brazilian porn. So these are the most nationalist places, and also ebony in South Africa, except for one country has like lesbian porn. Anal porn in Western South America, I guess, for whatever reason. It's kind of interesting. And then transgender for Russia and Norway and Sweden. MILF for like one of these places, I guess. I guess it's Sweden or something. I don't know. I'm not really good on my geography here lately, but
Yeah,
it
the
looks like
lesbians know how to party. That's what it is. Right?
Mm,
That's the sweet spots. Is the lesbian porns.
that's right.
If I had to
Grab the
guess,
scissors.
or the racial porn. No, those are safe porns.
well, I saw this one here, and the name of this picture was "All Communists Go to Heaven," and I want to get you guys' take on this.
Who's the like the last guy that's next to Marx? Who is that?
Maybe it's Ingalls or something. I don't know. Maybe he got an honorary position.
Right.
Yeah, that's Ingalls.
Oh, okay.
Avian, how do you feel about this picture?
Nothing like is a this is an Asian woman.
This has got some pretty meaty thighs for sure.
Are you sure it's a woman?
Oh, yeah, you're
I'm pretty
right.
sure it is. I had to double check before I posted something like that. I wouldn't do that to you guys.
Yeah, you don't get like Asian women with like really meaty thighs, but it's probably a good thing.
And how would you feel if this was your next boss or professor or teacher?
Yeah, he could touch me for a shekel.
Is that a real person?
In form, if not reality.
Yeah, it's creepy. Yeah.
Oh, come on. That was fucking funny.
Okay, I'm going to show you guys this first.
Asian Instagrams. The flavor of the
Oh
month.
boy.
Okay, so I meet this guy in Starbucks, and he was handsome, he was kind of charming, and he sat down, he had like a little bit like Middle Eastern accent, and then I was like, hey, like tell me the story that you haven't finished, because yesterday he was telling me about like his family is Muslim, and then he joined like Buddhism, and then he's going on the retreat, and he was gonna do meditation for like a week starting from tomorrow. That's why
Yeah,
we're
was
meeting
this
today.
Avian?
We were sitting down, we started talking, and then like 3 minutes and he started telling me, oh yeah, like my family just really doesn't like other people. Like I met these like gorgeous women even when I was in like Mountain Negro, that like last summer, like I was there and I met these beautiful women, and I told my family, and they're like, drop that girl, we're gonna find you a wife. And then I just sat there thinking, hello, we're on a date. And then it clicked, like, okay, he probably has autism, like I shouldn't be so, like maybe he just can't read social cues. And then he said, oh yeah, those girls, like they brought me to like a whorehouse because they told me it's like a public house. They asked me if I wanted to go, and I didn't know it was a whorehouse, so I just went. And then I'm just there like, that is such a fucking crazy starter, you know? We're 3 minutes in.
Yeah, buddy.
And also, he like told me like twice or like 3 times on our date that he and the 2 girls like that he met in Mountain Negro, they talked quite rather nasty, like online.
Rather nasty.
Hello, like I'm here, like why would you tell me that like you talked to them dirty online? Why? And then he's like, yeah, so I got into like a bit of drama with one of the girl's boyfriend. What?
Well, back to Mount Negro you go.
Here, here.
I like your age. $70 million.
There's a lot going on there. Is that ablation? Let's start with that. That's ablation Malaysian. The ablation Malaysian from Singapore.
Creator I saw posting abolish ICE. You are so close. You're so close. You're so close.
What? I don't get
So
it.
it's like the Zionists can't be anti-ICE because they're pro-Zionist or something like that.
Boo hoo. If only they could see the man behind the curtain. But is it a white man, a black man, purple man?
I'm not following this ice stuff. What is happening?
Goes more in depth about how much of the surveillance and military tech we see being used. And then you changed it as I was reading it.
Yeah, basically, like, they ended up killing 2 dudes, and the 2 dudes were basically like American citizens. So now they're all like, all right, well, you know, so it's pretty interesting. So that's basically the story so far, Avian. You know, they
I got some
deployed
good
them
ones
in
coming up.
American.
Yeah, I got some good ones coming up on that. You guys are going to trip on it. It's going to be very, very interesting.
Yeah, they deployed the agents in the middle of the country. So they're supposed to be like working at the border. So they don't just pop up like in the middle of the country, usually. Right? So it's interesting. They're trying to figure out the legal precedence of the situation. Right?
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly.
Well, what's interesting about this post is that actually I didn't even notice, but
keep eating in my ear.
Oh yeah, Also, the ICE agents are trained by the Israeli Defense Forces. Avian, can you believe that? But yeah,
it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. Yeah,
I mean,
go ahead, girl.
If you want the best, you gotta get the best.
Right.
So,
and whatnot.
So it says here, I recommend the book by Palestine Laboratory by Anthony Lowenstein, which goes more into depth about how the surveillance and military tech we see being used in the United States against civilians was first tested by the blue and white country against Palestinian civilians.
Well, I mean, duh. I mean, we need live test subjects. Who else are we going to test the fucking supersonic laser beams on? I mean, come on.
That's right. You're all Palestinians. Get fucking used to it.
Uh-oh.
Well, as long as we can make a GoFundMe.
Well, that's what's interesting is like it goes directly into the theory that I just made up with AI in like 10 minutes. You know, pretty interesting. Now Israel's like a test ground for the technology, essentially. So maybe it is more about the technology than it is about Israel. Wouldn't that be curious?
Well, I mean, allegedly, they're going to fight against, the aliens, but, that depends on what you want to see the aliens as. So, they kind of need this technology, allegedly.
Remember they had that movie called like Sector 9 or something, Section 9?
District 9, yes, with the little alien buggies, yes.
Yeah, and they put like alien bug people into like
ghettos. Yes. Concentration ghettos.
I watched that and I was like, I remember watching. I was like, what the fuck is this movie about?
With a canister of little black alien goo that gets them infected and turns them into a bug. Yeah.
The bug aliens are people. Maybe that's what they mean when they say you'll eat the bugs and be happy because they're all people.
Well, what does it matter? Because all the snow that they dropped had bugs in it anyway. Which, you know, I predicted that like a month ago. So,
Fun
but you know, I don't get paid for that.
They're going to help you get out of that jam. Coming in at number 5, I dated a black chick. This here is a classic. So if you ever dated or had sex with a black chick, definitely hit him with that immediately. Mention something like she was black too, not art school black. Really helped to prove your case. Coming at number 4, I'm the least racist person in the world. They might honestly,
yeah, buddy,
someone else. So it's good to let them know your reputation speaks for itself. You've actually got mad at other people for them being racist. Coming in at number 3, if you've never had intercourse with a black woman or you don't have any black, let them know I support black things. I watch basketball. I'm a huge T-Pain fan. I voted for Obama or Kamala. Maybe you're just a big jerk chicken guy. Anything you've done that's in any way connected to black people, you're going to want to mention it right now. Let them know they must be mistaken. Number 2, you're going to hit them with, I'm also oppressed. Maybe you're a bit Cherokee, part Jewish or gay. You understand the struggle and also inform them that oppressed people need to stick together. And if nothing else works, the number 1 way to react when you're called racist is to out-black them. Say, I know you're talking about me. I've been in these streets. I'm like this. You got the wrong one. You better ask about me. Talk to them in a way that lets them know that you're street approved. Even if you're caught saying the N-word, it'll be pretty obvious.
Right. I already got my
end
card.
Signed off on it. So if you're called racist, use any combination of these and you're going to be as good as gold.
Yeah, this guy works with like Alex Jones and what's that guy that looks like Trotsky? Keep forgetting his name now.
Sam Hyde.
Yeah, Sam Hyde. Yeah, that's most likely not his real name, but yeah.
No, it's probably not.
对 ice， 那为什么呢？因为
So this guy is saying because America discriminated against Chinese people 100 years ago, that we need to advocate for the dissolution of the United States border, basically. And he's saying it in America in Chinese to other Chinese people.
Well, I mean, yeah, most of these people are probably getting paid to do it.
Like, honestly, if I were to find out that this guy is a like a Chinese agent, I would totally respect it. But like, if he's just like an American, you know, retard who's just like, I live in America, I think we should open the borders. Like, okay.
Well, it's okay because at least people can't make all that money on TikTok now, allegedly.
I mean, here's the thing: is like, I'm not even saying like I'm totally against America not having borders, but I'm like, if your only answer is like, let's just dissolve the border, it's like, that's not really an answer, right? Like, let's actually like talk about what are you actually saying here, right? Like, it's just like, I don't like ICE because it's racist. It's like, that's not really an argument. Ultimately, it's like, if you just open the floodgates to anybody who wants to come here, obviously, you know, again, it's not like we have much choice anyways. Like, the government's going to do whatever they're going to do, but it is just interesting that
I can tell you why. It's because in the world we've become very accustomed to, you know, comfortability. You know, where most people are born, you know, in, you know, war-torn countries, from the moment they come out of, you know, the womb, they know nothing but bombs being dropped from Tony Stark. So I mean, you know, we Americans, those who get to live in parts of the world who, you know, we only may occasionally send some troops to go and die for, you know, alleged freedoms for other people and humanitarian needs, You know, I mean, what do you expect? I mean, the whole entire fucking world is fabricated and we all LARP in it until the day you die, or you sell out to it if they like you enough. I mean, that's what it comes down to. You know, if it's some grand scheme to put someone, you know, in some Matrix-like thing, which seems to be what they're doing, but, you know.
Well, I think this is simultaneously one of the best piece of propaganda I've ever seen, and also one of the most insulting piece of propaganda I've ever seen. So I want to get you guys' take on this one. This one's a very, very simple but a very funny piece of propaganda.
The most racist person you know. If you keep being racist, we gon' find you. You think we playing? We a hive mind. I can be what you want me to.
Well, I was saying this earlier, which I've been gathering a shit ton of evidence that Facebook and other social media sites are allowing black people, I'm sorry, melanated people, and other people who are not quote unquote light skinned or white or cracker, if that's what you prefer. Basically, I'll just put it this way, you know, don't be shocked if, like, you know, the racial violence just doesn't escalate. I'm just saying, because they don't seem to really care when you got a guy who, you know, tattoos a Klansman around a noose on his middle finger, and he's getting, you know, thousands and thousands of likes and reshares. So, anyway.
Well, it's just funny. It's like we are a hive mind. If you're racist, we're gonna find you and do bad things to you. Until it's like, okay, so like again, it's just like this nebulous term of like racist. Well,
yes, and look at the hearts and look at the comments. Exactly. There you go. Because in reality, Neurojack, the only thing that's keeping people from going back and scalping each other and graping and tearing each other apart is this little of illusion that we have of goddamn fucking justice. Yet every single day when we're throwing in fucking criminals, they're coming right back out to fucking stab people on trains and light them on fire. So, I mean, we're just going to continue complaining until whatever happens.
Hey, I'll tell you this. Your racism is showing, and
yeah. Well, my racism, you know, doesn't apply because I'm a white man, so I can't be racist because I'm automatically born racist. But, you know, LARP away. Just fishing in the dark, son. Oh, that's right. That quote is from a black man. I better not say that. It might be racist because I like Will Smith in some roles. But, you know, he can smack his own kind. That's not racist, right? So, see.
Why are you going through my phone? Are you cheating on me? What? No. Okay, stop saying this nonsense. Okay, let's go. I'm not going until you tell me the truth. Who's Jessica? Okay, fine. She's my sugar mommy that I met like a few months ago. Is that why you've been buying me so much new stuff? Well, okay, you want these things and I don't want to see you sad, you know? So I started seeing the sugar mommy and she gives me money and I use them to, you know, buy you the nice stuff you wanted. I was just tired of seeing you like add stuff to your shopping cart and then deleting them, and then going window shopping and saying, oh, you don't want these things, but you clearly do. Well, but you can't. She gave me 10K last month, but still. And the month before, she gave me 20K. Okay, but money can't. Okay, well, it's all lying. And then I just say stuff and make her happy, and she sends me money. Okay, I'm sorry.
No, it must be nice.
No, why are you apologizing? Don't say sorry. I should be the one saying sorry for raising my voice. Okay, I didn't understand the full picture, but now I get it. So make sure you maintain that relationship, okay?
That's right.
Let's go to Cardi.
Useless content for all the mindless fucking retards. Sugar and spice, but nothing fucking nice.
I mean, this is the general attitude of most people like today. Like, this is actually very I actually like this girl's content because I think she's actually being thoughtful with what she's saying. And I think that she's being groomed by a lot of creepy, weird, small-headed people in Los Angeles. And, you know, I don't know if they're writing the script for her per se, but there is definitely something strange going on. So I get a nice little like insight of like how the social media industry is working, I would say.
Well, I mean, you know, I can tell you, I would like to, you know, go and have, you know, a generated background that makes me a peanut. And, you know, 85,000 people will come and watch me pretend to be a peanut while I play stupid video games. But, you know, apparently I'm not likable. So. again, everything's constructed. If you think that what she's telling you is fucking true, I got another thing to tell you. I mean, maybe it is, but it's just going to be exploited anyway. Just like someone like us, if any of us were, you know, like that TV show I wanted to get on not here long ago. You remember that, Jack? You know, that TV show I reached out to about, but I realized that like they were going to exploit me. That's the reason why I didn't allow it to happen. So I can tell you, you know, you want
that's the whole point.
anything, they're going to exploit everything about you.
Yeah, well, and the thing is, you'll get paid handsomely for it, but it's going to cost you like all shred of dignity that you have. You know what I mean? I think
it's much better to be like an extra in The Walking Dead who gets like a donut and a coffee than it is to, you know, be featured in any TV show, even if it's for one episode.
Your race and your empire will die. And you know what? All of this land will come right back to us. And I guarantee you, all my people.
Aren't we all people? Aren't we all human beings?
You don't treat us like human beings.
Well, you just said you don't care about us.
I don't. I really don't. We're going to continue to grow while your race dies off. And that's what it really is your white supremacy. You are so scared that
you're going to continue to grow while we die off.
You're so scared that your women aren't having children. That's why you're trying to ban abortion. Y'all want y'all white women to have children because your race is dying off. Mine is
Are you happy about that?
I don't really care. I just care about my race, black people and brown people growing. I don't care about you. You will build a border. You will build a wall. We will dig under it. And if you close what's under it, we will dig on top. Trust me.
Are you against borders?
I am.
So no borders.
I don't think we should have a border here. I think it should be controlled. Yes. I don't think anyone should come in.
How are we going to control it if there's no border?
Well, I've often said that, yes, I mean, I've always believed that America should be closed borders, but in reality, in this world, unless you're going to implement extreme measures, there's no way that you'd be able to filter out, allegedly, the circumference of the size of this country, or Canada, since it's conjoined to it, allegedly. So, you know. I mean, let's face it. I mean, it depends on the core values of which we're standing upon. Are we standing upon what countless alleged millions of veterans died for, which was the right for people to come to this country to seek peace, life, and liberty, to, you know, live, you know, in conjunction with other things that are considered, you know, freedoms? But I mean, let's face it. I mean, is what we're being proposed now in these here recent few years and months, is that really the same ideal? I mean, I don't know. Do you feel sympathy when you see that little immigrant boy with the hat? I mean, what does your heart tell you? See, I mean, that's what it comes down to. I mean, of course, anyone with a logical mind would say that these people need to come into the country legally through the right processes to get the right documents in order to be able to legally live here on the land. And, you know, it's just, what it comes down to is, I think the people who really run the world have been basically hiding, like, you know, in the outskirts of Raccoon City, while all the civilians and bioweapons have been basically playing in the petri dish in the middle. And, you know, basically they can watch us from social media and other ways of surveillance and observations, and can, you know, poke and prod us and make us go in any way they can. You know, and they don't really have to be here in the midst of it while it happens. That's what I'm going with. That's what I'm noticing. So, you know, I mean, let's face it here. If people were really having such a problem with ICE, then, you know, you would go through the same process that you do to impeach your president, and you don't. You know, we the people have lots of judicial power, but, you know.
Excuse me, did you say noticing? That sounds like an anti-Semitic word.
Uh-oh. Yeah, well, pay me and shekel me, boy. Jew me, baby.
The N-word by people like Nick Fuentes is vile and unacceptable. This is a word used to rob black people of their humanity and inflict terror. It's not cool or funny to be a white guy saying it. It's callous and it's embarrassing.
Right.
Stop
That's
saying
right.
it.
That's right. I don't know. I mean, I can go and walk to my black friend's house and he'll tell you how much he doesn't like black people, but that's racist because he's not here to speak for himself. But okay.
A lot of people got mad at the hat, and you're right. Abolish ICE, and I've actually thought about it, and I was like, you know what, man, I could actually make a really good case why we should abolish ICE. And here's my case why ICE is personally horrible for me. So I'm going to fight in January. We're going to make it a big lump sum of money, and I'm going to put this money in the market. I'll buy real estate. And I do this because I like watching that little green line of the stock market go up. And you say, well, hey, Sean, well, what does that have anything to do with ICE and borders? Well, I'll tell you guys. I'll tell you why. When these people in the millions come across the border, they lower wages. Lowering wages is good, right? Because if companies have to pay less, I make more money. They consume, they buy a bunch of shit. They buy cell phones, trucks. Guess what? I make more money. They need a place to live. Guess what? I make more money. But you know who doesn't make more money? You guys. They lower wages. They make housing.
Yes, I know. That's how Mexicans are able to own twice the amount of what people have owned. Yeah.
And after hearing that, for you guys that hated me in the hat, after hearing that, hey, guess what? Me and you are the same. Let's abolish
But
ICE.
it's not just the Mexicans.
Common ground.
It's not just them. It is blacks too. I mean, everyone abuses the system. I mean, what's the?
You know what's funny though is like most Mexicans I know don't even want to be in it. Like they'll actually want to go back home and live in Mexico more than live here. Most of the ones that I personally met, like they actually like living in Mexico better than living in America. So that's why they're sending all the South Americans right now, because the South Americans want to come here because they're having problems down there. But most Mexicans, even though they have like a cartel war, like they live like a more simple life basically than we do. So.
Yeah, buddy. Sounds like robbing a bank is more and more fucking up our alley.
Get the fuck out of here! You can't even walk in the red light! Look at you like a fucking loser! I'm covering your goddamn face, you pussy! You're so proud that you don't show your fucking face! Oh no, don't knock your hat off! Oh no! Oh no! Yeah. You guys suck in the military! No. Walk faster! You're behind it! Come on, let's go! Let's go! What's wrong with you? Man! Look at these uneven roads! Hey! Short stack up there! Walk faster! You're falling behind! Let's go!
I don't know. This is looking a little staged.
Loser. If you put them down, then they will all look at you. You could be the new alpha. They'll all look at you like the new leader if you fight that guy. You should go punch that guy.
That guy's a robot. That's not even a real human.
They're the leader. Thomas. Go fight Thomas, and then you'll be the new leader if you win. But you got to win. Because I'm looking at it like big, strong guy like you taking orders from a little guy like that. It's no way. I just don't believe it. Go beat him up.
That's right. I'm starting to feel like I'm in Pennywise's Funhouse.
To politics in a way. Sex isn't always acceptable in public. So I'm just curious more about that.
Well, a lot of people and even the Democrat fan base, they have seen my art, I think, and they have seen who I am. I never hide nothing from my Instagram. I never had nothing from my Facebook. I even provided pictures in case, any media wants to talk shit. I have like pictures with my ass out and everything because, I'm all about the transparency. I believe that older people, they're just old. They're not stupid. They can understand that people in different kind of jobs, have and I think what they want, the conservative, even the
What they
extremely
want?
conservative ones, I think what they want is for people to be respectful. And I am respectful to everybody, regardless of their age. I may act a little weird from time to time, but it's not because I don't respect people. It's because I am who I am. I act like this because I have ADHD, because I make jokes inappropriately, because that makes me feel happy. But I believe that people don't have problem with different personalities or identities. They have problem with disrespect.
Yes, to some extent. Yeah, pretty much. I agree with that.
Yeah, but that was funny when she's like, I have pictures with my ass, so you can see that I'm transparent.
Yeah,
like, whoa.
she does like super like ratchet rap music basically that's like about sex and stuff like that, but then she goes to like Catholic church and like it's like really weird in schizo. Like she barely speaks English, but she's like goes to the Catholic church and like like buys $500 perfume and but then she goes and like shakes her ass and so like raps like Nicki Minaj essentially in Thai language. I wish I could find her music. Maybe I'll try to find her music play for you guys in a second here.
Spare me.
The most average white guy suddenly hot in Asia. Let's talk about the economics of white entitlement in Asia. In finance, there's a term called arbitrage. Buying low in one market and selling high in another. Back in Ohio, he's just home from accounting. He drives a Honda Civic. He can't get a tax back. Nobody looks twice when he walks into a bar. But he buys a ticket to Asia and the market value skyrockets. Boom! Suddenly, Tom is international, successful, and a dream husband material. Tom beats up, walks into local companies like he owns the boardroom, and expects VIP treatments everywhere in a country that he just arrived in. He didn't get taller, he didn't get richer, he didn't get smarter. So why does this happen? The guy is trading on the post-colonizer glow. He's cashing in on a system that still treats whiteness as a luxury brand and a building status upgrade. And
so what's interesting about this is that it's saying if you go to Asia, you're living in a post-colonizer situation and you're treated better because you're white, but you're living in an all-Asian place. It's like, okay, so Asia's a white supremacist nation now? Like all of Asia's like a white supremacist system now or something? It's like, it's just very bizarre. It's like, so you're basically saying that like all of Asia is slaves of the white man or something like that. It's like, I don't know. I'm actually trying to understand like what's the logic of this argument.
this creates a dangerous level of audacity. I still remember walking down a street in Singapore, a white guy on a bike flies out of an alley, almost runs straight into me, and then physically shoves me out of his way. Never slows down, never looks back or says a word, and he's got the confidence of somebody who expects the world to move around him. But here is the uncomfortable truth. It's 50% his audacity and 50% our own insecurity. We enable this. We pay the expat premium. We put them on the board just to have a white face in the room. But things are changing. In places like China, the Western premium is shrinking. If you don't bring value, you're out. For Asians watching this, is it time we stop upgrading people just because they're Western and foreign?
So if a person in America said maybe we should stop raising up people of color because this is a white country, would she be okay with that, or would that still be bad? And if that's the case, why is she in America speaking English to an American audience to say this?
Well, that's what's weird is that the last two videos you showed is pretty new because it's like they didn't used to have accents like this. The influencers, right?
Wish I graduated. Wish I graduated. กูกับพี่ได้ปริญญาใจแต่น้องอยากได้ใบประกวดข้างบ้านอ่ะโทษ Bitch I graduated อวดป้าอวดน้าอวดอาอวดยายว่า Bitch I graduated อวดแมวอวดหมา Bitch I graduated อวดพ่ออวดแม่อวดคนทั้งบ้านว่า Bitch wish I graduated บอกปู่บอกยายอย่าลืมส่งต่อให้เพื่อนในไลน์นะว่ากูเรียนจบ I graduated 3.0 don't add me baby จนตีสามกันฉลองไม่ไหวเอาให้บ้าข้างบ้านมันก็อักเลือดตายอย่างนี้ต้องชนแล้ว
I'm gonna make one like her now.
แค่ช็อตต้องสับแล้วป้าเมาให้ไม่ลืมที่เรียนเล็กปะจบเลยสัตว์จบได้สักทีเรียนไม่ค่อยดีแต่ก็จบ4 ปีพ่อแม่แต่ขอดูใบทรานสคริปต์เอาไปโชว์ได้สักทีรอรับไปเอาไปตบหน้าแม่งที่มันแช่งเอาไว้ว่าอย่างกูไม่จบหรอกกูของนอกมือเศษอัดแท่งเดี๋ยวมันเจอหน้าแข้งจากที่มึงหมดปลอกหรอกไอ้
Shit, go ahead, dude. I don't understand a damn word she's saying.
I'm trying to bug. I'm trying to bug. I'm trying to bug. I'm trying to bug. Ain't no conversations needed. I'm just trying to bug. I'm trying to bug. I'm trying to bug. Pull up to my place and give me head. They call a no.
Somebody else wrote this for sure.
Low, let's make an OnlyFans. I gotta go, bro. I'll eat his dick and butt until he busts and lick the nut off his fucking torso. I like him tatted, like him tall, like him big, I like him bald. Like if fat, just give me call. Show you like I like him bold. Yeah, we can do it in the mall. I push you up against the wall. I put my dolls under your balls and beat this pussy whack 'em all. Like ooh. Where you got that dick from? Who? 7 inches is so thick and long too. Tell your daddy I said thank you for the genetics. It's fantastic. I'm trying to put this ass on you. Do you watch hentai? Can I call you senpai and give you throw like necktie? You said I'm looking sexy. You look like you could wreck me. CNC king, so when we fuck, you gotta make me. I'm trying to bug.
That's pretty good. I like that.
I'm trying to bug. I'm trying to bug. I'm trying to bug. Ain't no conversations needed. I'm just trying to bug. I'm trying to bug. I'm trying to bug.
And how much went to bed that like a majority of her fan base is just men, so.
They call me thick, so I think I might just gon' eat a dick. You know way too fast, I push him down, told him not eat a bitch. Out, all day on my knees, I'ma need to get powder. We can go round for round, fuck it, you go down for now. So wash your face, boy, I'ma need a seat. And brush your teeth and room my pH, please. I need a thrill, I'm trying to ride a speed. Super diving name, he never need a breeze. Good, I'ma make you fool, maybe some say your name. You can go all night, we can go hardcore, you can leave my door with staying late. If you're moving with me, babe, you may forget just how to masturbate. You never have to bake. What if it's into that shit? Then bake away. Let me tease it, please it. If you uncut, then unsheath it. Tell you other hoes I'ma need them to beat it. You think you're a freak? Pull your meat out your jeans. I'll show you what a freak really is. I'm trying to love it. Bug. I'm trying to bug. I'm trying to bug. I'm trying to bug. Ain't no conversations needed. I'm just trying to bug. I'm trying to bug. I'm trying to bug. I'm trying to bug. Pull up to my place and give me head until I nut.
And this is why I believe humans should be wiped off the face of the planet.
That shit is 100% written by AI.
But to be fair, it could have been written by a Jew. Let's be honest here.
No, that shit is written by AI. 1,000,000%.
Oh dear God, I'm getting the fuck off of here. Goodbye. You gonna pay me for watching this stupid shit? Yeah, I didn't think so.
ไม่เด่นไม่ดังของน้องมันคงไม่แรงเหมือนดาวอับแสงที่ไม่มีใครมองเพราะคนดี
What the hell? Was he underneath the car? What the fuck?
แบบนี้ต้องตายสายย่อให้โลกไหนดูแพงๆแบบฉันกิโลมีให้แต่ใจก็ตามรถของโก้ไปก็ไปพี่วิ่งตามไม่ได้กิโลคุณไม่ต้องกลับมาตอนที่คุณมีตังนะ bro ที่ยกกันคือต้องผมดีเจเป็นให้ได้ทุกอย่างเหมือนกับดีเจเป็นพระเอกของโลกเหมือนกับลิเกให้ก็มีอยากฟังให้ดิเทจะปิดจะโฟผมบอกตู้เขากับใครมีแต่หัวและหัวใจโคตรโคตร
I don't know. I just think it's really interesting. I have no idea what they're saying, but it's really it's like redneck culture mixed with like Asian people, mixed with like black rap music, mixed with like traditional music, mixed with like DJ music.
They found an African guy and just put him in the video.
Yeah, exactly. Like you look African. Let's put you in the video, and you just come and look at the fat rapper guy or whatever. It's like. Okay. It's like Brazilian fusion samba mixed with like I don't know.
Well, I guess it's time to shut it down. I'm pretty sure you lost your entire audience anyways because you played that. So
I think you're right. Yeah. Well, you guys are welcome for that. But yes, everybody, please go see Machine. It's about to start. I appreciate you guys. Yeah. I mean, I thought it was fun, but I appreciate you guys.
Oh yeah, it's definitely strange, right? For sure.
Yeah, I might have to steal some of these visuals for my next long form video for sure. I mean, yeah, I might. I don't know. I don't know about the music, but the visuals, I might have to steal them for sure.
Yeah, the music is just really bad. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I like some of the little beat. Sounds a little trappish or something, but
it's weird how the beat changed like every 30 seconds of the song. I was like, what the fuck? I feel like there's like 4 songs in one here. Like, what is going on? Yeah, that was definitely experimental. Well, all right. We'll see you over there, huh?
All right, cool, man. Yep. Appreciate everybody. Thank you for showing up and being annoyed. It's fun. Peace out.
Blessings. Yep.